Squad, turn that shit up, man.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keep it 100.
Can I go trading up?
100.
Yes! Yes! What? Here it is! Just reported.
Keeping it 100.
The people drop off, but they still keep rocking.
I know we need to run the ball more. I'm not an idiot.
Keeping it 100.
Keep it 100.
Keeping it 100. Keeping it 100, baby.
Open competition.
Keeping it 100. The smartest man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. The dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man, and Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east or west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, moving forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shane's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shane got some haters. But now the mouth stuck like the Jew and now and laters. Debaters, claws get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sack strolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shane. 100's what we do when we're breaking down the Bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the armchairs. The tape never lies, the truth, you see. We laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Max Sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man and Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun day. We're back better than ever and we're keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest
Keeping it
man.
100. Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby. Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Draft Dr.
Keep it
Phil.
100.
Keeping it 100.
Shane, Money Man Marshall.
Fields, 11th overall, and he got some love here in the ball game.
Big ovation. I think I heard an MVP chance to start up. Nice moment for a very talented young man, and anxious to watch him play for the Bears. It'll be really fun.
Hey, what's going on? It's Mark Grody, Chicago Bears sideline reporter, and you are listening to Shane and Phil on the Tape Never Lies Network.
The following show is for mature audiences only. Shy City Sports.
The tape never lies.
7-8. Would you ever consider going on Keeping It 100 and talking Bears with the crew? I think it'd be a fun collaboration and fun to see you live. Also, get your YouTube channel name out. Honestly, I don't even think I know who the fuck Keeping It 100 is.
Is this bitch for real?
I was at work one day, and I'm in the military. I'm retired military, but I work for the Department of Defense on Fort Campbell, and I work at an ammunition supply point. And during Christmas time, these guys, they're not training, so a lot of ammunition's not being pumped out. And I pray to God my boss doesn't see this, but I was just sitting there one day, and I was like scrolling through YouTube looking at highlights of the game. And when you get on YouTube, the video's playing at the bottom. It gives you recommendations. So I saw you, and I was like, click on it, and I saw you breaking down a tape, and I was like, oh, this guy's legit. And a couple of my coworkers, we started watching it because it's Christmas and no one's around. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, I gotta subscribe to this. I subscribed to it, started looking at it, but I didn't realize it was a show. And I remember, like, on Facebook, I clicked on Shy City Sports. I was looking at, and it popped up like you guys are about to come on. And that was a show where I lit into cars.
I'm really fragile is the issue. I've got very thin skin, so I need Shane to protect me. That's the way that this works.
So bad. And then I started like look you guys up and I found, Phil on Instagram, and I found Cars on Twitter. Shane, I got you on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? Barbara on Twitter. So I just, throughout my day when I'm not doing nothing, I look at what you guys are saying. Because I was like a big fan, well, not a fan, but to keep up with Chicago sports living here in Tennessee, ESPN Chicago. But I just realized that it was like a narrative, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, they just keep saying this same nonsense. And
stop with the narratives.
They got to criticize. So I just figured it was like, well, they're just saying this because they got to have ratings, you know what I mean? And in finding you guys keep it real. You guys say the truth. And you go sugarcoat it. And like I told you, Phil, earlier, I compare a lot of things to the military because that's all I know. You know what I'm saying? In the military, we don't sugarcoat it. And like I told you, we get it done. We go at 100%. Because like one of my NCOs, my section sergeant, my mentor, he told me, if you don't do your fucking job, somebody can die. You want that shit on your conscience, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, nah, I don't want it on my conscience. So we go at 100%. So when you're breaking down a film and you call out, an example, Akeem Hicks, like, yo, you're not going to the motor, or Jimmy Graham, or Anthony Miller, and you're like, bro, come on, dude. If I get paid way less than you, which is my choice, I did it, but I served my country to protect you so you could play this game. You know what I'm saying? Give it 100%, dude.
To me, I didn't exceed everything that I wanted to accomplish, but going into year 2, I just want to be, more of a threat to the defenders and more of an asset to the team.
I hope there's hope. Can you say it for me?
I hope there's hope.
Blessings.
There he is.
Hey,
my
guys.
God, Gary Williams, one of our biggest fans, and one of those moments I don't think I'll ever forget. Obviously, we bring it up all the time as we talk about the Chicago Bears, and heading into this offseason, it was you on Bears Hour Live. Me, you, Shane. And my father right there. And that's you were saying, I hope there's hope.
There's hope, guys. There's hope.
I hope there's hope.
You got the right people. I hope that is hope.
That's going to be the quote, the name of this show, Shane. I hope there's hope.
There's hope.
I hope there's hope.
I hope that there's hope. Okay. That's right.
Hey, I found y'all by accident. I literally was chasing about 18 different outlets for the Bears information and whatnot. And I seen you two, Shane and Phil, on the preview they show before you click on it. As soon as I clicked on it, first thing out of your mouth was fucking stupid something. And Shane was just sitting there smiling. I knew then, okay, let me listen to what these cats talking about, because I swear, me and my circle, we go hard about this football thing, man. We live and die. So
this is the reality of what I've seen for 4 years with this shoe, man. It's ridiculous on every level of football. Forget everything else. It comes down to that situation. You want to win the game? You power the fuck up in there and you get the first down and you go down there because you got to be perfect. You have to be perfect. You got a quarterback that's inaccurate, doesn't know where to go without a security blanket because you're putting him in that situation. People are going to hate on Mitch. Fine. But you got the fucking guy that's running the fucking engine, putting the wrong kind of oil in. That's why the fucking engine sucks. And don't get it twisted.
When I seen that passion that he was talking about here last year, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a Bears Hour Live video.
Wow.
But there was a lot of mistakes in that game.
This is...
I'm looking at the bad things, the things that didn't go well.
Exactly. We want to focus on winning a fucking championship.
I remember that game too because they came back, and I remember saying to Phil, I'm texting him during the show, I'm like, because our original plan for VHL was to make it free for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And then we were going to put it behind the Patreon wall, and I was sitting there watching the fucking live numbers go up, and I text Phil, and I'm like, bro, there's almost 2,000 fucking people in the chat room right now. And what the fuck? That was crazy. So it made us, you talk about having the ability to change on the fly. Phil and I literally that night after the fucking game, or that day after the game, we said, we course corrected. I'm like, dude, we can't fucking take this away from the masses.
To sort of listen to that's the first time I heard you talk about, about the Bears and everything, and it was pretty much the first time I started following you. But man, one thing I gotta give it to you that I love your passion after each game, because you say a lot of truth that you can go back, like I said, a couple years later and sort of dissect. Mitch is worried about the goddamn TVs. Mitch is worried about the damn game.
Golly, what the hell is going on?
Man,
Yeah, right.
I mean, just make the throw when the throw is there to be made.
Chicago's trading up.
Yes!
What?
Here it is!
No, I had to make a move. He had a good spot, but there's a glare behind him.
I had a glare. Claudio was like, you had to move, buddy.
The back glare.
Shift over. Shift
Tell me he's
over.
producing all
He's doing things today.
Yeah, that's it. I'm doing something.
I'm writing this down.
Shit.
Exactly.
I'm writing this day down in my diary. Claudio actually did say shit.
He's doing things, boy.
It's not only the accuracy, the arm strength, making the right decisions, not just always taking the check down, but taking it when needed, hitting the receiver in stride and not waiting till the defender's there to kind of force something. More practices, I've seen it twice with my own eyes. There's been, I think, about 5 or 6 other practices that we weren't allowed into, so I'm guessing it's probably happening there. But not only to do that in rookie minicamp, but also to do that when you're with, majority of the team. That really stands out to me. That tells me that's a guy that not only has it, here with the arm, he has it up here too, and he's processing it all at a very good pace, and a pace that you really want to see your franchise quarterbacks.
Yo, TTNL family, it's your boy Bullets, representing the TTNL network, the #1 Bear show on the planet, keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies network. Bear down.
Keeping it 100, the best Bears show on the whole planet, live with Draft Dr. Phil and Shane, man. So every Wednesday on the Tape Never Lies network. Oh yeah!
I'm Jackson Teno, aka I'm Lost Cause. Now I'm here to tell you that Keeping It 100 is not only the best show on the planet, but the best Bears family you're ever gonna find. 100 crew, Spencer Strong, baby.
The #1 Bears show on the planet. These guys right there. Keeping It 100 on the Tape Never Lies network.
Hey, what up? TTNL, baby.
I know you hear me, baby. I know you see me, baby.
The #1 Bear show on the planet. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies network.
Ethan Hellier, where are you living, Ethan? Where do you come from?
I am in Viking country.
Oh my God, that's worse than Packers country, in my opinion.
It can be because they have just as big of an ego and no winning streak to show for it.
And male fans wearing long blonde wigs. I mean, it is everything that is a recipe for disaster.
What is going on?
How did you find this show, this network, and become a part of the TTNL 100 crew family?
Do you want to take the cross down on your wall before you start talking about
Both my wife and I went to Catholic college, so I say that we paid a lot for those processes.
Good call. Get your money.
Exactly. So I found you guys. It was after the Bears had fired Trestman and they hired Fox, and I wanted to get more involved and learn more about Fox. I knew who he was. You know, he got lucky with Peyton Manning in Denver, and he had a streak in Carolina and all that.
Who is this John Fox?
But wanted to learn more, so essentially just searched Bears on the podcast app on my iPhone. And you guys were on one of the top. You know, I clicked on you and, you know, Bear Download and, you know, some of the other like Credential Press, and they're fine podcasts. But what I liked about you guys is you were fans, but you're also able to zoom out and look at it and say, yeah, we love this team, but these 5 things are bullshit.
Say something that doesn't flow or coexist with everybody and everything. But Mitch Trubisky looked horrific. Horrific. There's no way hiding that.
You know, this is good, this is that. But still, at the end of the day, when you all log off, you know, we all go lay our head down on our bear pillow, we all cheer for him. Where, you know, you got like a guy like Dan Weeder, and I get he's pressed and it's his job to be critical.
Oh, fuck him.
But all he wanted to do is just be negative.
Currently promised an invitation to the first week of OTAs.
Who is this Dan Weeder?
Even when you know, the Bears are on that 12-4 season, and he's like, "Well, is it sustainable?" And he's just the classic, you know, contrarian, which is
I hate contrarian.
done to death. And I just, you know, kind of at it with those guys, and you guys have always kept it real. And I followed you to the new network, and this has really been actually a huge improvement. I was nervous.
That's a big improvement.
But I like this better. I like that Cars is on all the time.
Fuck Cars.
He kind of, you know, he's Cars is kind of more my level.
There we go.
Not super high, not super low, just in the middle.
The #1 Bears show on the planet. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
The #1 Bears show on the planet. Keeping it 100 with the Tape Never Lies Network.
You hear me?
Yeah. What's up?
There he is.
There I am.
Bagel tea on. He's ready.
Finally get to meet this guy. Look at him. You're part of the family. You two together are always in the chat, chatting it up.
What's
Figured
up,
get
Sam?
the two of you guys
All right,
on.
Cam. How you doing, kid?
Good.
All right.
Cam, where are you from, Cam?
I am actually originally from the upper Midwest, Chicago, upper peninsula of Michigan, lived in Packer country many years.
Really?
Yeah,
Scary.
and actually I was coaching part-time up north as well. Nice. During the year, I was defensive coordinator for high school up there. Had to kind of give up that this year due to my girlfriend's MS and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about that.
Very sorry.
She's like Tevin Jenkins tough, man.
There you go. There you go.
But she's
Do I
much prettier
feel
than
more
Tevin
like a
Jenkins
before
though.
picture? Man. I'm gonna start lifting some weights before I start.
Yeah,
showing my
speaking of tough, did Angelo put up much of a fight before you stole his shirt?
#1 show on the planet.
It's the #1 Bear show on the planet. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
It's the #1 Bear show on the planet. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
The #1 Bears show on the planet. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
It's the #1 Bear show on the planet. Keeping it 100 with the Tape Never Lies Network. Go Bears.
It's the #1 Bears show on the planet, baby. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
Whose kid is this? Tape Never Lies Network? Draft Dr. Phil? Saying the smartest man alive? Claudio the master barber? And Cars the nerd? Leader of the nerd herd?
Honestly, I don't even think I know who the fuck Keeping It 100 is.
It's the #1 Bear show on the planet.
The #1 Bear show on the planet, baby.
It's the #1 Bear show on the planet.
It's the #1 Bear show on the planet.
Number one bear show on the planet. Keep it in 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network. It's your man's Michael Williams. Bear down.
If they talk about the Bears and you need me to come in there and talk about a slice of reality, which Bears fandom certainly needs consistently.
That's why it's called Keeping It 100, you ball bag.
And yes, absolutely, I would love to do so.
Is the best Bears show, period. I have a nice cup of shut the fuck up. I'm on the show, and we'll show you what the Keeping It 100 family is all about.
Anyone in the organization ever promised Andy Dalton that he would be the starting quarterback on opening day of the regular season?
No, Mark. I'd say promises are, as we all know, promises can get pretty crazy. But what we told Andy is that he's our starter, and he knows that. And that's what Justin knows. That's what Nick knows. You know, the rest of our coaches. And we tell these guys, knowing that there's got to be a start. Right?
What is up, 100 crew, TTNL family? It's your girl, Cherie. Yes, Claudio is done. I'm taking over. So, Cherie, a.k.a. Lady Bear, we got an exciting show tonight. We got a good guest, Robert Mays from The Athletic. We're going to be talking oppressor. So, y'all just strap on and get ready for the ride. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in the stars of the show. We got Shane and Phil.
Did Cherie jump out of the gate with a strap-on comment? Is that what just happened?
Strap on and get ready for the ride.
Strap on.
See you later, Claude.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
A new drop. I love.
Uh-oh. Hey, if you're not improving, you're getting worse. People don't know who we are, Phil. So we gotta introduce ourselves. We gotta change the way we talk. I don't know who the fuck you are.
Hold on a second.
Golly, what the hell is going on?
I have no idea what is going on. But I do know that all these fucking dudes are keeping it 100, know who the fuck we are. I mean, come on. It's getting fucking ridiculous. It's like that guy who's shoplifting or the guy on the opposing team. You should know who the middle linebacker is if you're the running back. That's all I'm saying. It's like, don't pretend like you don't know Brian Urlacher's on the other side and you're LaDainian Tomlinson. It's tongue in cheek.
Are you seeing this? Aaron Rodgers breaking news?
Breaking news. The Tape Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
Newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie. Hands down the easiest way to butter your corn on the cob on a hot summer day. Simply grab yourself a fresh stick of butter and using our patent-pending firm grip design, place the butter directly onto the center spikes. Then simply go to town buttering your corn on the cob from top to bottom. No matter what your technique is, get the job done this summer when you use the Cobb Quickie.
Got to pay those bills.
Hey, this guy's got his hands in everything.
Who knew Peter Bukowski's eating corn tonight for dinner?
We got Cherie marked down as cars. We got to fix that. There we go. Cherie, you're sitting in for Claudio tonight. Claudio's going picking. He always texts last minute. That fuck. He's like, hey, Phil, fortunately, I can't be on the show. I am going off. I'm going to flea market pick. He's one of these flea market pickers. I don't know if you know who they are. And then they find it and they sell gems and treasures on eBay. That's where Claudio's great.
He hasn't sold that laptop yet.
He's starting to work for PFF, I hear, according to sources. Claudio's PFF grade is a spliff. Spliff.
It's gonna be a fun show tonight, though, Phil. We got a committed Bears fan, just like we are. A guy that was equally excited about the events that transpired, and we'll share that all with you guys when he gets here. But Robert Mays is really a huge Bears fan that lives and dies with, everything just like we do. So he's going to be a perfect fit here tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know, Cherie, you were a little bit nervous coming down the tunnel.
Help it.
You even typed in your name wrong. Now you're Blake Bortles standing there. Poor lady.
Blake Bortles Stan. Did someone misspell Stan or fan? I don't know. What are you good though, Cherie? You feel all right?
Good. I'm on. I mean, normally it's me coming in and just popping in, but to kind of take over, it's a little nerve wracking. I'm not gonna lie.
There you go.
I'm on with two superstars, so.
Hey, as long as you know how to do nothing, you can fill in for Claude.
Can you smoke?
I'm in Virginia. DC is legal.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. Medical, but I can get a note.
Yeah, as long as you have a card.
How's your glaucoma, Cherie?
Anxiety, PTSD. There's a lot of things that can get you legal in the weed category. And that's, unfortunately, Laramie Tunsil was hit by not having his card, because then all the GMs, maybe Ryan Pace would have gotten it right. We would have gotten rid of Charles Leno a hell of a lot sooner had we had Laramie Tunsil over Skinny Boy Floyd. But that's history. We're on another level. All the fucking rookies are in, Shane. They've all signed. There's no Curtis Enos holdouts or
thank God, right?
Roquan Smith talking it over with his fam, whatever personal reasons and all this stuff. Everybody's in. Justin Fields, Tevin Jenkins, the whole rookie class is ready to rock and roll. We're ready to rock and roll, right, Cherie?
Yes,
I see our guest is ready in the building. Do we want to get to him now,
let's do it.
Might as well.
I didn't know if you wanted to comment on how lovely Cherie's new hairdo.
We did. She came prepared.
Yes.
A lot of hair, Cherie. Looks good though.
Thanks.
I hope there's hope for this show tonight.
There's hope, guys.
I know. And I am excited about this guy coming up on the show. We always introduce our peeps a certain way, as Shane has said many a time. Got to do it our way, the TTNL way. I wonder if he knows who the fuck we are before he came on the show. That's going to be his first question. Here we go. Let's introduce this cat from The Athletic, formerly of The Ringer. You hear him on podcasts, Talking Bears. I love dudes that don't hide the fact that they pull for a team, like our boy Adam Rank, like myself, like you. We analyze shit completely, fairly, and through our eyes. This guy does the same. He's Robert Mays.
Hold it now.
This guy is currently the host of the Athletic Football Show and an NFL writer at the Athletic NFL. But more importantly, on April 29th, 2021, he was anxious and sitting on the edge of his seat just like us.
The Bears just traded up. Okay. This is
okay. Here
sorry,
we go.
We're reacting to this in real time here.
Justin Fields is available.
This is ridiculous. I'm so glad we started at pick 10
until we heard it was finally official.
In the 2021 NFL Draft, my Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback of Ohio State.
Justin Fields was our quarterback. TTNL fans, please get out your seats and give it up to a true Chicago Bears fan.
Wow. It's
He
really
lives
cool.
and dies
It's really cool. It's a
with
great
every
show,
single
guys. So
snap,
it's really cool.
just like we do. He's Robert Mays.
Yo, there he
What's
is. Robert Mays in the house. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. That is one heck of an introduction. I'm not sure I'll be able to live up to that. It's always fun to relive that moment, though. I don't think I'll ever get tired of it. Hopefully, it's something we continue to look back on because Justin Fields ends up being so good that I want to relive that moment as many times as I can here over the next, let's say, 20 years. Let's say you started for 20 years.
Absolutely. Robert, we did the same thing with you. We were sitting here, getting ready to be pissed off with not getting a quarterback at number 20, and then boom, all of a sudden it happened. And when I was watching everybody's reactions after, and I got to yours and Nate's, and I'm like, oh man, we deserved it, man. You know what I mean? It just took so long. And before the draft, you always had that little morsel that you'd be like, oh man, I hope the football gods look down on us, because I'm 43 years old and it's never happened for me. We thought we had it with Cutler and didn't. Obviously, Mitch wasn't the guy, and the whole laundry list. But Justin Fields, man, the Chicago Bear, it's the way this entire offseason went, and for it to cap off that way, man, it couldn't be better.
It's just so wild. I mean, it just seems so out of left. I mean, it seemed impossible. I guess that's what I would say. When I was watching him, I guess we'll go back even further than that. I wrote for The Ringer in June of 2020, just about how this team was in no man's land. Like, there was just no clear path out. I mean, they were too good to be bad, and if they were going to be still in that middle range of teams in the NFL, how are they going to get a quarterback? How is this cycle going to get broken? And then I watched Justin Fields play at Ohio State for the last couple of years. He's obviously the second guy next to Trevor Lawrence, has been since they were in high school. And then I watched that game against Clemson, and I'm sitting there thinking about Jets fans. Like, if I were a Jets fan right now, would I want this guy over Zach Wilson? Because it seemed like the tide had turned. Never 100%. In my wildest dreams, in watching Justin Fields or thinking about Justin Fields or all of this over the last 3 to 6 months, over the last couple of years, would I have assumed this would have been the final outcome. And I still don't really believe it. I mean, it's still hard to understand, because I think until we see it in practice, none of us are really going to know exactly how to process it.
Robert, when you look at this football team, obviously you're writing about it, and writers have a different take. I have a love-hate relationship with most, I call them blog boys, because they don't do the work and they follow the course of tides. Now, people that I really respect love the shit out of you and speak for you. And like, you got to get this dude on the show. As you know, our mutual friend, Jim Larison, and Shane's a huge fan of yours. I don't read. I'm too busy breaking down the tape and doing this stuff. But after listening to you, because I went back, obviously I produced that open for you, the intro for you, and I saw your passion and your disbelief in that moment. How much faith, though, do you have in the head coach of the Chicago Bears, in Matt Nagy?
Not a ton. I guess
that was a good dramatic pause.
And I don't mean to say that as in I don't have any faith in him.
No,
I think faith needs to be earned. Yeah. And I think the trust needs to be earned. And I just don't think anything we've seen from them over the last 3 years offensively deserves our trust or faith at this point. I am open to the idea that with Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles and a combination of those two, Matt Nagy never had the right guy to do what he wanted to do offensively. I was of the opinion after the 2019 season that Mitchell Trubisky just short-circuited Matt Nagy's brain, that you just can't call an offense when you have a complete lack of faith in your own quarterback. And then when they went out and got Foles and they made a play to get Nick Foles, I mean, when you trade a fourth-round pick for someone and give him $20 million guaranteed, that is the guy you wanted. They didn't have to do that. And then the offense was worse. It was worse with Nick Foles last year than it was with Trubisky. And then they're chasing a version of the offense with Trubisky where it's more play action heavy, more outside zone heavy. They're running a lot of boots, which made sense, but why didn't they go to that earlier? It just feels like they've had a lack of cohesion and a lack of established plan offensively. You would hope, if you're spinning this in some rosy, optimistic way, that a guy like Justin Fields, who Matt Nagy handpicked and wanted to be his guy, is the guy that can allow that cohesion to take hold. That maybe now we see a different, more put together, something that makes sense, something that feels like it's cohesive offense where the pieces fit, the one play leads to another, everything else. It just seems like for so long, whether it was from play to play, from week to week, from season to season, they were trying to throw something against the wall and see what sticks. And so far, that just hasn't worked whatsoever. So you'd hope that this is the catalyst for change. But until I see that, I don't know how much faith or hope I can put into that idea.
Robert, when you saw day 2 come around, we were screaming for an offensive tackle because we didn't think that we'd be able to get a quarterback at number 20, and then they went up. And Phil and I were, breaking it down for the weeks and months leading up to the draft, and always wanted to go up for the quarterback. Didn't know if it would, happen exactly. What were your thoughts on Tevin Jenkins? And then 39 rolls around, you see the Bears bounce back up yet again, because it really kind of blew our minds just as much as the Justin Fields thing did. We thought if they were going to do anything, maybe they'd even trade back to recoup some picks. And then we saw them go the opposite way, get Tevin Jenkins, jettison Charles Leno a couple of days later. And I said to Phil, I'm like, I feel like I'm living in Chicago Bears bizarro world here. This is what we've been asking for, and it's unfolding before our eyes. But talk about the offensive tackle and maybe your expectations for Tevin Jenkins.
I thought he was awesome last year at Oklahoma State, and I went back and I watched a decent amount of him. We did a big deep dive on the top offensive line prospects on the Athletic Football Show, I think sometime in early April, with my buddy Brandon Thorne, who does a fantastic job looking at those positions. And he likes Jenkins, and so did I. I mean, you just see a variety of different pass sets, a real maturity to his game that I think he developed last year, plus that nastiness that he has. I mean, I think that there weren't some founded concerns about his health, which kind of cropped up a little bit late. He probably would have gone higher. So you'd have to be excited about something like that. The only thing for me is that, when a really bad 3-point shooter hits one early and then they keep shooting them, even though they probably shouldn't. I don't want to encourage Ryan Pace to keep throwing away draft picks like they're monopoly money. Because that's my only concern here.
He went up for his guy. I mean, he's always talking about conviction, how to have conviction. They fucked it up with Mitch, obviously. But we always said, because we go back to that time when you're assessing a GM. I'm sorry to cut you off. But you, in your show, I went back and watched you and your partner there. You were getting anxiety, worrying about a linebacker. Are they going to fuck this up? And so is our buddy Cars. Now, the night before the show, we did a live mock draft, and Cars was our GM, our resident nerd, and he traded up, and we ended up getting Justin Fields. So it played out exactly like we talked about the day before. So we all knew on this network it has to be a quarterback or nothing. And then you're going to sit there and wait for a tackle, because you can't just go take Kellen Mond at 20. That would be the dumbest shit. So when I was watching you guys, you were on that same level, and you really wanted Justin Fields, and you made the great point. And I want to give you credit for this. You talked about the draft back with Mahomes and Watson. They went in the same fucking spot. So when people have their Wilson and this one and that one, their picks, historically, you get a quarterback wherever you can. And to their credit, they filled 2 gigantic holes. Franchise quarterback, offensive left tackle, that clearly, in my opinion, was their 2 weakest links, if you will. So you got to go there, right? Or are you still tapping that, or you're holding that leg up to tap that brake on Pace?
Oh, I trade up for a quarterback every time. I think that is the position that, I mean, that the price they paid to do it, you do that 100 times out of 100. I actually said it the night before. I mean, I was on, I want to say it was on the radio in Vegas, and there was some prop bet about where Justin Fields would go or one of the quarterbacks. And I went through that exact same scenario, that if we get past that gauntlet of Carolina and Denver, essentially, were the 2 teams. If it gets past that, and you're sitting in that 10 to 12 range, you do what you have to do. You give up the future first to go do it because that's worth the price every single time. Trading up for a quarterback and trading up for any other position are two different considerations, in my opinion. I think that we've seen this regime have conviction on non-quarterbacks in the past, and what has it done for them? You know, sometimes it works, but even if David Montgomery turned out to be a good player, trading a future third-round pick for a running back is bad process. Trading a future second-round pick for Anthony Miller is terrible process. They have given away so many picks. If you look at how many picks they've made over the last 5 years, I want to say it's the second or third lowest number in the entire NFL. The Saints are the least because they do it every single year.
Well, he comes from that tree.
Yeah.
The Bears are in that, and he does, and the Bears are in that same category. And I just think that's a dangerous way to live. But this stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? These guys have a timetable. They have an urgency to get this fixed right away. And you have a rookie quarterback that we'll see when he plays. But the hope would be that now you have a quality left tackle to play with him. I can understand why people didn't love Charles Leno. I think that getting rid of just starting quality tackles in the league is dangerous when you have a rookie quarterback. Hopefully they find 5 starters along the line. I think the money they saved, the way they did it makes sense. But I can
Leno
understand.
Wasn't even in the vicinity of a starting. He was the worst graded. I know PFF has their fucking grades, but I've talked to every offensive line coach. My father's an offensive line coach, and I've broken him down. So I want to stop you there, Robert, because the Leno thing is something I've never, ever, none of us on this network, is the worst. I call him soft as fucking puppy shit, and he's the worst offensive tackle I've ever seen start on the Chicago Bears in my life, including Frank Omiel and Jamarcus Webb. At least those guys gave a shit. Once Charles got paid, Charles laid down. And that's how you move on from that. And really, there's an attitude adjustment that we see with Borum, Jenkins, Fetty coming in here in shape. Fetty has worked his ass off. You heard Juan Castillo saying he might be a Pro Bowler. So to get rid of that kind of cancer, and I know some other stories that I can't share here on Charles and the kind of teammate he is. Trust me, the Bears did the right thing. Don't get it twisted, Robert. This is not a watch. Let's see what he does. There's a reason why Vic Fangio, who lost his left tackle with an off the field injury, didn't pick up the phone and call Charles Leno. There's a reason why. And I think the Chicago Bears, remember that show, The Swan? They had a complete makeover. They came out down the stairs, and all of a sudden we got an offensive tackle and offensive line that looks to be aggressive and athletic and young and hungry. That, to me, is a win. Don't hold on to guys because of that, in my opinion. You like Charles Leno? You saw him on tape and came away happy with what you saw?
That's not what I said, and that's not the consideration. I just think that it's a matter of having 5 starters, 5 guys, and Jermaine Ifedi was a terrible offensive tackle in Seattle for several years. So I think that the idea that now they're somehow better, I'll believe that when I see it. I don't think that's necessarily a guarantee. When you're paying a guy that much and you can save some money, that's fine. But I think that the offensive line is still a question mark until we see it in practice.
Oh, I totally agree with that statement. I'm just saying you get better by subtraction in Leno. Ifedi has to go in there compete because you got Borum and Jenkins. That's a competition is a great thing. Leno was just handed a job and he kept there, and PFF continued to grade him, but I don't see it. I've never saw it. In fact, I've pointed it out many times. In fact, do you want to see my reaction to Jenkins?
No. Give it to me. The Chicago Bears at number 39 are selecting offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins.
Yes! Oh my God! That's how desperate we were for the offensive tackle. I'm sorry. But I just had to go there because I keep it 100. That's the name of the show. I see Charles Leno as a non-starter.
It doesn't matter anymore because he's gone now.
Yeah, exactly.
We wrote a song about it. Leno is gone song.
Robert, if we switch gears over to the other side of the ball, I said that, obviously the Bears, ever since drafting Justin Fields, it seems like there's been so much positivity. But now my attention changes here a little bit, shifts focus to Eddie Goldman in the situation there. You know, obviously with the COVID opt-out last year, but then not showing up for the mandatory minicamp. He didn't show up for the OTAs, you know, that weren't mandatory. But I got a little bit of a problem with that. I think it fired Matt Nagy up a little bit, and he said he had had a talk with him and made sure that he was going to be here for training camp. But for a guy that opted out last year and was away from the team for so long, to see him do this, does that rub you the wrong way a little bit as a Bears fan?
I think it's unfortunate. I mean, you'd wonder why when he's been away for so long, and when he's a guy that you're relying on, and especially with a new defensive coordinator, you'd want them to have as much time as possible to have as many of those guys in the room as you can. If they're going to try to do some different stuff, you know, innovate a tiny little bit, you'd want as much time with your core group of players as you can possibly get. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly not ideal. We can say that.
Well, let me ask you this. Does it concern you because he was out on COVID and then he comes back, and then Nagy, obviously they pressed him. I don't know if you saw it, but you probably obviously did. And then it's unexcused. He doubled down on that. So this is probably a top 3 nose tackle in the NFL. Obviously missed last year, but you have a talented front 7 with Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn. Obviously, you don't know what you have in Tevis Gibson, but he looks like he's came back and worked on his body. So you look at this front, Bilal Nichols, this kid can obviously swing back from playing nose man, where he showed some pass rush skills from the nose as well. So that front line, does this worry you about Goldman, or is this something, you believe in the coach, he'll be there in camp?
You'd hope that's the case, but I will say that among every position group on the team, this is probably the best one. I mean, even without him, you can survive. If this was something else, if this was, I don't know, name another position group where you had a starter that wasn't there, I'd be a lot more concerned.
Outside linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, it's whoever. This team does not have a ton of depth. So, I mean, this is the one spot with that front where you feel a little bit better about it, because Marv Edwards was great last year. So if you can, and let's say in third down situations and pass rush situations, you have Edwards, Hicks, Mack, and Quinn, that's okay. I mean, you can live with that. So obviously you want Eddie Goldman there. They're much better with him, but that's one spot where it's not an absolute disaster if they're without one of their guys. I do assume he'll be back. This is more just strange to me than anything else.
Yeah, I just hope he's in shape. That's my biggest fear, because he was I'm dehydrated. I got to sit out couple of training camp practices when he came from FSU. That happened again, and then let's be honest, missing an entire year with COVID. Who they said he's in shape. I like you said, I hope he is. But Robert, Jeremy Fowler talked a little bit about there possibly being some still a chance that the Bears may trade Akeem Hicks closer to training camp. And I don't know, that's just having these questions now with Eddie Goldman and then Akeem Hicks, who is in the final year of his deal. Would you be shocked? Would you be upset? What would be your take on that if the Bears are still, they gave Drew Rosenhaus permission to seek a trade earlier in the offseason, and I guess that's still on the table?
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, when you're with the down cap and with the way that this team has had to kind of cut some corners financially just because of money they've had to shift around. I mean, that's why Kyle Fuller's not on this team anymore. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, I mean, they were up against it, and they still are, even with some of the moves that they've made. I'll be curious how the veteran trade market in general kind of shakes out here over the next couple months, because I think typically in a normal year, let's say the cap was $205 million. I think guys like Jamison Crowder, Danielle Hunter, Stephon Gilmore, Akeem Hicks, there'd be a more robust market for them than there's been. For the most part, it's hard for teams to fit those guys in at their current prices just because everyone is up against it right now. So would I be shocked? No, but I think that there's less chance of a lot of that stuff happening than there would be in a typical season. But at the same time, teams are looking to cut costs more than they have been. Right. So I think it cuts both ways, but that's something I'll be watching because I think that's been a lot of the news over the last week or so is what's happened with Gilmore, the fact that Crowder and Hunter decided both to sign deals. So, it's definitely a pressing issue for a lot of teams right now.
When you listen to Coach Nagy talk about Andy Dalton and promise, and then he turns it back around and says, well, there's no promises. And then they press him again. And yes, I did tell him he's the starter. And then they ask him again about Justin Fields. And he said, and he puts it into perspective again about, yes, everyone's excited about Fields. I'm paraphrasing. And then he turns around and says, Andy Dalton's our starter. Now, what do you think of that in regards to your football, years with the Chicago Bears in that plan? Do you feel as though Coach is letting this franchise down by not having a competition, or is he playing it safe and trying to follow that same Andy Reid with Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith?
I think there are a lot of different things to consider when it comes to those two situations. This is a team in Kansas. That was a team in Kansas City in 2017, I believe, was a top 5 offense at the end of the year with Alex Smith. I mean, they were still one of the better offenses in the league. They were a playoff team. Even as someone who's thinks more highly of Andy Dalton than most people do, that's not happening. This is not a top 5 offense with Andy Dalton in it. So I think there's more urgency to play the rookie here than there would be in a situation like there was in Kansas City. When it comes to playing Justin Fields, I've talked to coaches that are of both minds about it, that, you don't want to play a guy before he's ready, but there are also coaches that firmly believe that you can't improve unless you're playing. I think that the question to me is always, is putting him out there going to be bad for his development? Actively bad? Is the rest of the supporting cast so poor that you're risking your quarterback's long-term development by having him on the field? And there are situations where that's true. The supporting cast that Sam Darnold had with the Jets in his rookie year, it did him no favors. And I think David Carr is the most famous example. Yes. I remember talking to Greg Olson, who's now the Raiders offensive coordinator, but was the offensive coordinator for the Rams during Jared Goff's rookie year. And he said to me that you can develop scar tissue when you're a rookie quarterback playing on a bad team. And he was happy that Goff only started 8 games that year for that Rams team because he didn't feel like he crossed that threshold into having that scar tissue. I think that the Bears supporting cast leaves something to be desired. I think that they're not flush with pass catchers. We talked about the questions along the offensive line, but I think they clear the bar of being good enough for it to be safe for Justin Fields' development to have him out there. If they do clear that bar, then I think it's in everyone's best interest for him to play as soon as possible.
I was going to ask
if he's ready.
That was going to be my question to you. How do you assess this roster looking at it offensively in regards to the skill positions? And then we'll get to Jim's question here.
I think that it's not that great. It's fine. We'll see what happens with Cole Kmet in year 2. I think that's a really big question. How much of a part of the offense is he? But their secondary receiving options outside of Allen Robinson are not exciting. Damiere Byrd is fine. He's bounced around for a reason. I like Darnell Mooney. I like Darnell Mooney a lot. But in a world where, let's say they live in 12 personnel and Jimmy Graham's playing a decent chunk of the snaps, that's not exciting. I mean, there's a lot to be put on Darnell Mooney there. So I think that they're fine. I think it is a more than workable group with the pass catchers. But I mean, it's not. I'd have to think about where they'd rank in the league, but it's no higher than middle of the road if you were to stack up every supporting cast in the league. So, but that's okay. I mean, that to me is enough for you to throw your rookie quarterback out there and think it's more important for him to get the reps with this group than it is for him to watch on the sideline.
Well, let me double down on this right there. Oh, sorry, Shane.
Go ahead.
In your assessment, though, of that, how fair was it to Mitch Trubisky to analyze him behind that same offense? I am asking in regards to your opinion in regards to Mitch.
I think it was fair to assess him over the last couple of years. I mean, I think we certainly saw enough with enough different sets of players to know that he wasn't the answer. I mean, I don't know if he got the most help of any quarterback in the league, but I think that group is certainly good enough that you can't throw it on them as to why Mitchell Trubisky didn't develop into a starting level quarterback.
The one thing that my big separator between Mitch and Justin Fields is just, Mitch had all the talent that you wanted. Obviously, he couldn't get through it, but everything else just seemed too big for Mitch. Like Chicago is a different animal, Robert. You know that when you're the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, you have to have some thick fucking skin. Right. Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's, when you brought up Justin Fields and the New York Jets, that's why we thought he was the perfect fit for New York. He's ready-made to go there and to withstand the media. And I look at Wilson. I think I'm not a fan of the quarterback that they took at number 2. I mean, if I'm running the Jets, I'm sprinting to the podium for Justin Fields just because of, New York media. I think he's a fabulous player and all that. But to me, that's just the biggest separator is you've heard some of the vets even talk about it, that he's walked into the room and he commands a presence really without even saying anything. And when was the last time we've been able to say that about a Chicago Bears quarterback? And oh yeah, he's a rookie that hasn't even taken a professional snap yet. I mean, to me, that counts for something.
You think it's better to have a guy who was on a national spotlight and played in huge games for 2 straight years rather than a guy who could only start for 1 year at North Carolina on a 500 team in the ACC? You think that's an improvement?
He didn't drive a Camry though, Robert.
No, he certainly didn't. I mean, just everything about the guy, from this is so silly, but the way he looks at practice and the way he answers questions and the presence he has about certain things. I mean, I think at one point, a couple weeks ago during rookie minicamp, somebody asked him something and he was like, I was built for this, man. Like, I've seen all of this stuff. And I do think that legitimately matters. I think that when you have guys that have played on the biggest possible stage, have played in the biggest possible games, have seen what those stakes are like, I don't think it should be the driving force as to why you should draft someone. But if it's close, I absolutely think it should be something that's taken into consideration.
I agree with you 100%, man. That's part of the rationale that a GM has to put into the equation real quick. ACC 500 team. Oh, Deshaun Watson's over there playing the same team. Anyway, one of May's shows, he did teams that had the best draft value over the past 5 years, and the Bears were in the top 5. How do you actually square that with what they have today? For the listeners on the podcast, that's the question for you, Robert, from Jim Larison.
I think that's driven by the fact that they've gotten a ton of value on guys that were late picks. They've done a really good job in the middle rounds, getting guys like Eddie Jackson or somebody like Bilal Nichols or what Roy Robertson Harris gave them. And they've had real contributors deep in the draft. And the way that we did that kind of value prop, Tariq Cohen's another good example. Even Jordan Howard for a couple of years gave them something as a 6th round pick. I mean, if the way the equation that we were using, that really does matter. Tariq Cohen, as I mentioned, David Montgomery was a 3rd round pick. The problem is when you screw up a pick in the top 2 and it's your quarterback, the rest of the stuff ceases to matter a little bit. So that, and they've had some real swings and misses in the free agent realm as well. So they've done a really good job in the middle rounds. It's kind of why it's frustrating to see them trade away so many picks in the middle rounds, because they're very good at drafting people in that range.
Yeah, it's a showcase of the quarterback always being the most important position in all of sports. If you don't have that, my uncle Sam Rutigliano was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and he fought for Brian Sipe at his time. And he was telling the owner, and he's telling me the story. Brian could play here. You just have to believe in it. The Chicago Bears haven't had that, the guy that can play here until now. So when I say that with Justin Fields, everybody's ready. What is your thoughts of Andy Dalton? For me, I'll just say this. I really believe a lot of people are going to be surprised at what Andy Dalton brings to this competition, if there is one. That's my fear, that this coach isn't going to open up a competition. He's going to stand by these things that he's saying today that are confusing to me. But how confident are you in Andy Dalton?
I think Andy Dalton can be fine. I've long thought Andy Dalton can be fine. Now, I wanted the Bears to trade for Andy Dalton 2 years ago.
Yeah.
In the middle of the 2019 season, I thought that he would be an acceptable stopgap option as they were searching for guys then. I wish they had signed him last year instead of trading a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles. But now it's much different. You know, when you're taking another spin on the wheel of unenviable quarterback play, Andy Dalton is a fine solution. We no longer have to live on that wheel. That's the whole point of making that trade for Justin Fields, is that you don't have to play the game a team like Denver is right now, where you're trading a pick for Teddy Bridgewater and hoping he's better than Drew Lock. We've stepped outside of that realm. And that's why, even if I think Andy Dalton can be acceptable, I no longer want to have to live with acceptable quarterback play. That doesn't have to be the way that we get by anymore.
But are you not wanting a competition there? You just want to give it to the rookie because you know, or do you want to see it be done? Like,
I want to see it. I think that if he's better, if you think you have a better chance to win because Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton, then he should play. If you think he's ready and you think he's better, then he should play.
I agree with you. My fear, though, Robert, I want to be clear here, is that Coach Nagy, who, let's rewind, sat his whole offense out, including Mitch Trubisky, who had 15 starts in college and all of that, and rested him. And he's learning to be a head coach on the job. So now we go into this, and this is my fear that's going to happen. I'm preparing our 100 crew. You could see how many fans we got. Some crazy fans of this show, and a lot of them are excited for you to be here. I want to know, are you afraid too that Matt Nagy is going to follow his godfather, Andy Reid? Christ, I didn't know Matt Nagy loved Jimmy Graham as much as I do today. So, and I know he loves Andy Reid. So is he going to follow Andy Reid's way here and put Mahomes on the bench and play Dalton? I mean, I'm feeling that today. That's what I'm feeling is going to happen. There's not going to be any. They're going to fucking put, like we did with Shane Matthews is going to play with the 2s, and we're going with Jim Miller. Yeah. This is what we got. QB1. And he tripled down on that, even though with confusion. So are you fearful that this guy, I call him the shoe salesman, Matt Nagy, is gonna sell us out and not do what's best for the team? Because I'm with you. If he's the fucking best quarterback, you better give him reps with the 1s in camp as well as Andy Dalton with the 2s. And allow them to play it out. If he doesn't, and this is how we're rolling, shut the fuck up, everybody. I know what I'm doing. I'm concerned. Are you in that scenario?
A little bit. I mean, I think that not having reps with the 1s is definitely a thing, but I don't think he's going to get those reps. I mean, I don't think that's how this is going to go. But at the same time, it took the Texans 1/2 to play Deshaun Watson. Right. 1/2 of Tom Savage is all it took for them to get to Deshaun Watson. And I think this is a different situation. I think that Andy Dalton is a much more capable quarterback than Tom Savage. I think that the Bears would probably be a little bit more patient. But I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we're 2 games into the year, the Bears are 0-1, 0-2 after getting beat by the Rams in week 1. The offenses look terrible. And those guys have sat there. I mean, think about what we've seen from the receivers and what they've said over the last couple of weeks. Darnell Mooney talking about how he's smiling as the ball gets let go. Exactly. Those guys know. You can't lie to the guys in the locker room. They know. And if we get 2 games through and you're 3 games in, whatever it is, and the offense looks bad and they need a jump start, I don't think this regime's jobs are necessarily safe enough that they can roll on their own timeline. I would have to assume that if it looks bad enough and it is clear they need something, that Justin Fields will play sooner rather than later.
If you play off of that saying that they know, which obviously we know that they know, but if you go into like what Phil's point is and just look at it and Andy's going to be the guy, all the while the players know early on, how disheartening is that to this defense? I mean, you saw Eddie Jackson's reaction when they drafted Justin Fields. You know what I mean? All these guys. And if they just usher in Dalton full well, these players can tell that Justin Fields gives them the better option. How big of a mistake is that to the team morale?
I think it's a mistake.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake. And I think that if you, from everything that I've heard over the last couple of years, it's those guys on the defense were disheartened at times.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be surprised to see them not shut it down, but feel disheartened again. I mean, I think that our reaction on draft night is no different, I would assume, than a lot of the guys in that locker room's reaction.
We saw Eddie Jackson, right?
Yeah, did you see Eddie Jackson's Instagram?
Yeah. We needed a jumpstart. We needed a spark. The franchise needed something, needed some ember somewhere to get this thing lit again. And I would assume that those guys are watching the way Justin Fields throws the ball, the way that he carries himself, all of those things. They're going to want him to play too. And that's my concern. I think that that's a real thing. I think when you trot a quarterback out that everyone knows is not the guy, and these guys, they have short careers. They do not get a long time in this league. And if they feel like they're having weeks of their careers wasted by trotting Andy Dalton out there, I can't imagine that they're going to be thrilled about it.
I agree. My fear, I'm telling you, after today's press conference, and I know we have some audio of it, producer, if he can grab some of that, but the confusion of not promising, but he is. That's a promise. If I tell you, Robert Mays, you are coming on to Keeping It 100 tomorrow, you're my guy. And then all of a sudden, I'm bringing on somebody else and not you. I've broken my promise to you, correct?
Yeah, but that's okay. In this scenario, if Justin Fields was the other guy, I would understand.
I know you would.
I would gladly walk to the side. I don't think Andy Dalton's feelings or respect to Andy Dalton should drive this decision. I respect the fact that Matt Nagy is a straightforward guy, by all accounts, a very good guy. But at the same time, I think that you have to take into account 48 other guys in the locker room, not just Andy Dalton, when it comes to making this decision. I think we've seen a million different times things said in June that just don't end up mattering. And that's why I'm not all that concerned about.
Remember Mike Glennon at the draft party?
Yeah. I mean, it's Mike Glennon got his starts in. I mean, it's just, I think that there are so many situations and so many examples we've seen where the rookie gets in quickly. I mean, red shirts don't happen anymore. Mahomes is the only one in recent memory where that has happened, where he has been a first-round pick that sat for the entire year. I can't remember the last one before that. And I think for several different reasons it's not worth it. One, he's probably better than the guy that's in front of him. That's why you took him in the first round. Two, you really only you want to know as soon as possible that this guy is the guy for two different reasons. One, if he is, and the Bears are sitting there next year and they have a decent amount of cap space because they let go of some aging players, whatever, you have to squeeze everything you can out of that rookie contract, every ounce you can. And it would help if you knew if this guy was worth going in on. And the sooner you find that out, the better. And I also think that outside of that, you only have a certain amount of years to figure out if you want to extend him. It would really help to know as soon as you possibly can that this is the guy. If we're walking into year 2 and he's never taken a snap, then you have 1 year and then maybe another to decide if you want to pay him, because paying him after 3 years is possible and you want to get a deal. I just think that figuring this stuff out quicker is advantageous for every single aspect of the organization.
I agree. And I don't give a fuck about, just to be clear, Andy Dalton's feelings. I just don't want it to be a repeat of what he tried to do or he speaks on with what happened with Mahomes. That's all. Real quick, where did you rank the quarterback, Justin Fields, pre-draft? Was he your number 2 guy going in?
Yes.
So and you were ecstatic then.
Yeah, I'm not a quarterback expert. I mean, I'll readily admit that. I know what I like.
Neither is Chris Sims, so don't worry about
it. For me, it was one of those things where how many boxes are we going to check? He has done it at the highest level. He has every physical tool you could possibly want. By all accounts, he's incredibly smart. If anyone watched the Clemson game and saw that hit he took and the way he played afterward, toughness is not a question. And my biggest thing is when we have these guys that are physical marvels, arm strength, size, speed, they can't pinpoint the ball. They are not accurate with the ball. He's incredibly accurate with the ball. Exactly. So the only real concern now is he's not twitchy and he doesn't make quick decisions. you would want him to run more than he does in some situations. So if that's the issue, that we'd like him to play a little bit faster, that's okay to me. Like that, if that's the drawback here, I'm completely fine with that being the one negative in that column, because I think the positives so far outweigh those, especially when you compare that to some of the other guys that went ahead of him.
Exactly.
Zach Pearson, who writes for the Bear Report, was on Hogan Johns, and he's been covering the Bears and going to their, training camp and covering the practices for 10 years. And Adam Johns agreed, just in these limited amount of practices that they've had this year, they've never seen so many deep balls connected on just to practice. Not that it's, not that it's a full board, not like it's a game. I'm just saying, even in practice, our guys before in years previous couldn't do that. And that's a big deal. As it hitting, you see the one Marquise Goodwin with Andy Dalton hitting him down the sideline. And he never had to get out of his gait, break his stride. And I said, how nice is that going to be? But Robert, I want to change gears here a little bit. What is your take on the talk here, maybe with the Bears moving away from Soldier Field, the whole Arlington Heights, just as a Bears fan, getting out in there and, a little more acreage, a bigger stadium, maybe a multi-purpose stadium to get, some Final Fours in Chicago. What is your thoughts on that?
As someone who grew up going to Soldier Field, part of me, it hurts my soul a little bit, but that's it. Time marches on with this kind of stuff.
Yep.
I mean, eventually this is going to happen in a lot of different places. I mean, Green Bay is such a unique case just because of the way the team is owned and where it is and all of that other stuff. But for the most part, I mean, you're looking at cold weather places. They're building outdoor or indoor stadiums so they can host those types of events.
Yeah.
And I think it's really difficult to step outside of that at this point. And if we want to host those sorts of things, if they want a Super Bowl here, all of that, I understand that it has to happen. And Soldier Field is not set up in a lot of, it's a small stadium. It's hard to get to. I mean, there are definitely drawbacks to where it is and the way that it is. I'll miss watching games there if it happens. I think that it's a fantastic place to watch football games. The sight lines are incredible. It leads to the all 22 being unwatchable, but the sight lines when you're in the stadium are great. So it's just one of those things that I tend not to get super worked up about this kind of stuff. Eventually the money talks and things get momentum and they end up happening. So I'm not overly invested either way. I mean, I love Soldier Field. We had season tickets when I was a kid. I would miss the building, but I understand that these things have to happen in the way the modern football works sometimes.
When you look at your feelings, I'm going back and I just want to make sure I got this right. How safe do you think Ryan Pace and Nagy are? Do you think they, based on Justin Fields' performance, they're safe, or is it something, a pitfall from there if Justin Fields, God forbid, doesn't perform? Where are your feelings in regards to their security? Because I heard
I don't mean to skirt around this. I have no idea.
Okay,
I legitimately don't know, and I don't think anyone really knows. They were purposefully cagey at that postseason press conference about the length of Pace's contract, and I think they're doing that on purpose.
They were collaborating, Robert.
They were collaborating.
They're such great collaborators. I don't know, because I think that there are a couple different ways to think about it, right? You would assume that drafting a quarterback in the first round and being able to trade up for a quarterback would give you some leash, right? You'd have some leeway. You get to see it through. That has not been the case. And if you look at recent history, there have been a lot of quarterbacks. I want to say about half of them drafted in the first round, where their head coaches have been fired the year after they were drafted. And that leads to some real questions, because now you have a staff coming in that didn't pick the quarterback. And do they even want that guy? Everything else, there's success stories, right? Like Jared Goff was a lot better with Sean McVay than he was with Jeff Fisher, but Jared Goff was never Sean McVay's guy. And I think inevitably there's going to be that dynamic if you move on from the coach. So you would assume that letting Matt Nagy pick Justin Fields would indicate that he's going to have a lot of time to develop Justin Fields. But recent history has not necessarily shown that to be the case.
So apparently you went to Barrington High School, and was Kristen Cavallari your prom date? Is that true?
Oh Jesus, no. She was a year older than me. She was my brother's camp counselor. That's a real thing.
Oh boy.
The Cavallari camp counseling session. A lot of our fans would sign up for that.
We were very young, so it was a little more G-rated than I'm assuming her time on Laguna Beach or any of that else was.
When you look at this team, where is your biggest concern? Is it? Well, I don't want to answer it for you. Where's your biggest concern with this team roster? We'll say.
I think that corner is definitely a question mark. I mean, yeah, it has to be. Desmond Trufant was actively bad in Detroit last year, and he's had real trouble staying healthy. They don't have a ton of depth there. There aren't many proven options at that spot. So I think that would definitely be a question. Just the secondary in general. I think that there are depth questions there. So that would be my number one issue. The offensive line is a question. Hopefully it gets sorted out. Hopefully they find 5 functional starters. But I think those are the 2 spots I'd worry about the most. But I'd probably start with cornerback specifically and then the secondary at large.
I'm there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
Robert, we had a guy on. This is one thing that we've debated here a lot, and Phil and I are both big fans and think that he's kind of been undersold a lot. You mentioned him a little bit earlier, and David Montgomery. We've had some people on that, I don't know, they're just not in love with him as, him, the running back. I don't know if it's because the open field speed, the overall, top end speed is not there, but we're real big fans of David Montgomery, and we still don't think we've seen the best of him. Obviously, quarterback is a big part of that offensive line, but where do you stand with David Montgomery, the running back, the Chicago Bears?
He's very good. I don't. Yeah. I just don't. I mean, he's a very good running back. I mean, he is certainly more than you need at that position. My biggest question with him is not about his individual talent. I mean, if you look at, I think the most important thing with running backs, the most important stat season to season, the most important aspect of who you are as a running back season to season is, can you make people miss? Can you create missed tackles? And he is up there every single year in missed tackles forced. I mean, that is a sticky stat. So he does that extremely well. My biggest question with him has nothing to do with him. It has to do with, what does the structure of the running game look like? Because they really didn't have an identity in how they wanted to structure their run game over the last couple of years. Last year, when they went to more of that outside zone type stuff with the boot actions with Trubisky, I think he looked best doing that. And I think the offensive line gelled when they started doing that stuff. So my bigger question is, what is the running game going to look like? Not is David Montgomery the right running back in either, no matter how the schematics end up shaking out.
Hand him off, give him a handoff first play of the game against Houston, goes for 80 and touches the ball 10 more times the rest of the game.
I'm not an idiot.
Yeah,
I know baffling. We got to run the ball. They didn't come here to run the eye. These are the Nagy. I'm with you, Robert. I'm concerned because I will say this on top of what Robert said. I know running backs, and I will go to war with anybody on tape and break it down. He is an elite rusher of the football because of what Robert is talking about. He had to make so many people miss. I called it. I went to Hofstra, and I would have to get from the Times Square over to Penn Station to catch the train to Long Island, and it was like a fucking wave of people. And that's David Montgomery. I'm trying to catch the train. I had a hockey bag on my shoulder. This dude's doing it on tape each and every week. It's unbelievable when you watch it from the all 20, the coaches angle, not the all 22, the coaches. That's from behind. And as you know, DDP's The Tape Never Lies. I break it down. I'm excited. I just hope Matt Nagy understands the rhythm of running. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're able to run the football, Matt, it's okay, buddy. We don't need a jet sweep reverse to a tight end at the goal line. It's okay. What's her name on ESPN is going to talk about you for fucking 2 days. But the reality, Kay Adams on NFL Network loves it. But I love it. And all of these fans love David Montgomery getting us 2 yards and into the end zone. This is my concern about Coach Nagy. Is he prepared to be the head coach as well as the play caller, Robert?
I mean, the offense looked better last year when Bill Lazor was calling plays. And we can square that however you want to, whether that was more a part of they were running a different sort of offense when Bill Lazor was calling plays. Maybe that deserves more of the credit than who was actually, play calling is also kind of a silly thing. Like, those guys are on the headset together. Who ends up saying the words to the quarterback is sometimes overblown. So to me, it's more than who's going to call the plays. It's what is the plan offensively? Again, do they have a cohesive plan offensively? I don't give a shit. I'm swearing now. I don't care. I don't care who ends up saying the words into Justin Fields' ear about what the play is. I care more about, from Monday through Saturday, do we have an approach that they feel good about and can get the most of the players on that offense? That to me is much more important than anything else.
I totally agree, because half the time watching the tape, I felt like what you said earlier in the show is the Matt Nagy philosophy. Let's throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and nothing cohesively combated or countered. There wasn't a fucking counterplay run at all. They ran it one time against Detroit to close out the game with James Daniels pulling around and David rushing and putting the game away. They never ran a counter. Not one counter play. Go look it up. I don't know where you can find that, but you can see it on our site. The reality is, this hodgepodge of what it is, Robert Mays is 100% step for step with me. I'm very concerned about the preparation to attack an opponent week to week. It looks chaotic on Sundays, whether they know what Anthony Miller, no one is assigned, or whatever it is. It's got to be fixed, and players have to be held accountable, and so does the coach. Because to your point, when Bill Lazor was quote unquote, everybody knew that he was calling plays, everything looked cohesive. We ran left, outside zone left. Maybe we ran a toss left. Then we countered by booting out of it and doing things that were offsetting what you were trying to do. And let's face it, football is a game of inches and all these cliches. But at the end of the day, you have to self-scout and know what you're doing so you can trick people. That's what coaching is all about, to give somebody a look, find the matchup, and get that football to the playmaker. I mean, that's my concern here. How concerned are you with Anthony Miller, Robert Mays, coming back, and Javon Wims? We saw an embarrassing moments, more than one moments, with these receivers and their attitudes on the football field. What's your take on those two players?
I think that the Bears probably need more answers at receiver than they have. I mean, relying on those guys to play any sort of substantial role concerns me. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Beyond Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney, do you have guys on this team that you feel good about? Do you have guys on this team you think, oh, yeah, I can count on this guy in this moment? And I think that I can't definitively say that I can. I mean, those guys are not the type. The depth of receivers is not there. I mean, they really do not have a stable of receivers that you feel good about, kind of point blank period.
Will we see this guy, Riley Ridley? Gene spelled it wrong, but Riley Ridley, will we see him finally?
At this point, I'm not sure I'm banking on Riley Ridley doing much. That's what I'll say. I mean, I just don't. I think we probably would have seen a little bit of him by now. I mean, in his second, this is going to be his third year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that in year 2, you would hope that he could have cut into Javon Wims' snaps or Cordero Patterson or whoever. And by now, I feel like the Riley Ridley ship has probably sailed. By year 3, you don't have to be a fully formed product, but you would hope we would have seen something by now if they were going to rely on him in any way this season.
Do you think that they work something out with Allen Robinson in terms of a long-term contract before the deadline? Or do you think it's a one and done, on the tag?
I don't know if it's one. I don't think that those are the only two options. Okay. I think that I can understand. It's kind of what I was saying before about the Justin Fields component of this. If we know that Justin Fields can play and they feel really good about Justin Fields after year 1, I think that it would be borderline insanity to let Allen Robinson walk into the unknown when it comes to what your receiving room would look like. Because at this point, we can talk about the cornerback depth. We can talk about Eddie Goldman. We can talk about any of that stuff. None of that really matters anymore. The only thing that matters, the only thing is Justin Fields' development and success. That is the only thing that truly matters when it comes to the trajectory of this team. And I would feel pretty comfortable saying that Allen Robinson's presence is a good thing for Justin Fields' development and success.
That being said, do you see these guys? One guy that I've kept my eye on coming from Philly, whatever happens with Zach Ertz. You know, his wife plays professional soccer here in Chicago. Do you think that they're going to make any type of a run at him? I mean, they can essentially cut Jimmy Graham and free that up. We talked about Akeem Hicks. That's another $10 million cap number. But if you want to give him a weapon like that, somebody that's, you know, you can spread out a little bit longer, because just that Jimmy Graham's 35 years old. Do you think that that's someplace that they'll look maybe as potentially adding him in with Cole Kmet to give him two really solid tight ends? Because Jimmy Graham is red zone and that's about it.
I think that's a lot of noise for not much change. I think that you're paying an aging tight end likely a premium to come aboard in the same way that you're doing it with Jimmy Graham. I think that Zach Ertz is probably a better player than Jimmy Graham at this stage in his career. I think he's definitely on the downside. So I'm not sure that they really take a huge step forward swapping those guys out for each other.
Do you feel like anybody on this roster going into camp is going to surprise a lot of people, like a Marcus Robinson did back with Wanstead? I'm talking somebody that nobody's really talking about and that goes out there and gets the opportunity. I have the kid from Colgate. Thomas Ives. Every time I've watched Thomas Ives, obviously everyone laughs, but the reality is the kid makes plays, catches the football, and works his ass off. At some point, being on the practice squad or whatever needs to be an opportunity. Is there somebody that, you know, like Kendall Vildor or somebody of that nature that you feel like can surprise and become? I mean, that's what this NFL is about. Who's fucking Richard Sherman? A fifth round pick out of Stanford. Everyone passed on. Tom Brady. These stories exist. Obviously, the cream of the crop is Justin Fields, but is there somebody in your, you know, your book, your black book that Cavallari gave you back in
I mean, I would certainly hope that Thomas Graham ends up becoming somebody that can get reps for this team, because people really liked him coming out. I will be full disclosure. I wasn't watching many 6-round corners pre-draft. That's not how I was spending my time. But the people that I respect who do really liked him. And I think that is one area where there's a pathway to playing time. And there, like we talked about, there are not a lot of established guys that are going to be roadblocks to him potentially getting on the field if he can play right away. So I would say the rookies. I mean, at this point, that's where you'd have to look, because that's the problem with this team is they've drafted so few players. There are very few ascending young in-house talents on this team. They've done a really good job of doing that along the defensive line. And I think even from players outside of the organization, somebody like Mario Edwards, they've done a really good job at those spots. But other than that, I mean, I just don't think that there's a lot of guys that are young, unknown, that you'd probably be getting excited about at this point.
Well, another guy I want you to remember from this show is center Dieter Eisland. My father and I broke him down on the tape. They've moved him to center, and obviously Sam Mustipher has his warts when you watch the All-22 from last year. And you're talking about the offensive line. Dieter, I don't know if you know his story. Do you know his story?
I do not.
He's from South Africa, ended up coming over to the U.S., went to Choate Rosemary Hall in my hometown, and that's not why I like the kid, but he ends up earning a scholarship to Yale as a postgraduate, learning the game of football, gets a scholarship to play football at Yale. Then COVID hits, and, you know, the Ivy League doesn't have their season, whatever, and he becomes an undrafted. Now he's been on the practice squad. They moved him to center. And I'm telling you, those boys from Yale, and he's a former rugby superstar. So he's somebody I also want you to watch. Me and my father broke down his Yale tape, and I'm telling you, you talk about Olin Kreutz's attitude, that's what you're getting here. So that's another competition I know our fans are listening to in camp. The TTNL network really excited about Dieter Eisland playing center for the Chicago Bears. Some position that, listen, he was on this show with us. Smart, intelligent. That position needs it. Am I right? I mean, we haven't had that since Olin Kreutz. I think about the centers. We've rotated center after center and center. And this offensive line in and above itself, we let go of Harry Hiestand. It's been, and you've been there with us, shaking your head or scratching your head in regards to this offensive line and the quarterback. So there's another guy I wanted to throw out there as somebody that we think could step up in camp.
There's Dieter. Look at the size of those hands, Robert. Look at that.
Listen, if he ends up emerging as the guy, I will be the happiest person in the room, because I absolutely think that that's a competition that probably can be won if he's. I mean, Mustipher is not somebody who has not locked down.
Right, exactly.
I don't think Sam Mustipher is untouchable, nor should he be. So at this point, offensive line is all about finding 5 functional starters. Can you get 5 guys to give you average play up front? Because that's what you need to really be a functional offense. And that's what I'm hoping is they have enough bodies in the room where they can find 5 guys at those 5 spots and feel good to trot their rookie quarterback out there and feel like he's going to be okay.
I have one other question. Shane, if you have a question, then get a question from the chat. I know Robert has been gracious with his time. Robert, your true gut feeling on this football team going forward. I know I'm not a big fan of predicting records and stuff like that, but where do you think this team stacks up against the division? How about that?
I think it all depends on how quickly Justin Fields plays and how good Justin Fields is. And if he is, let's have the most optimistic view on this we possibly could for young quarterbacks. Let's say he's as good as Deshaun Watson was as a rookie for Houston, for example. Then I think they absolutely can be the best team in the division if Rodgers doesn't play, the second best team in the division if Rodgers does play, and push to make the playoffs. I don't think that's unreasonable, because I still think they have a lot of talent defensively. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned Sean Desai's name yet. I mean, I think that if that to me, outside of Justin Fields, the Desai thing is the thing I am most intrigued by when it comes to this entire team, because I'm really interested in this shift that's happened throughout the league, where you have teams this season, offseason in particular, going to some of these younger, more unproven defensive coordinators almost as a direct reaction to what happened with Brandon Staley.
Yeah, exactly.
And
who was in our building, Robert?
Yeah, the Bears didn't want to let the second get us to the building. Yeah.
So I think, can Sean Desai come in and really lean into some of those Fangio principles, which are the same principles that Staley uses, to bring back some of Eddie Goldman looked like a different player under the previous regime compared to what he looked like under Chuck Pagano. Can they tap back into what made that defense great in 2018 with some of those principles and some of those defining ideas? If they can, they certainly have enough defensive talent to be a top 6, top 8 defense again. And if you do that and combine it with a young, exciting quarterback, then there's no reason this team can't be in the mix as a playoff team in the NFC.
I agree. Friend of the show, Adam Rank, I'm sorry, Shane, asked me, who do you think will be the MVP of this team? My response was Sean Desai. That's my gut feeling, because if we're going to get there, it's going to be because this defense has risen to the occasion and ridden on the excitement and the electricity of what you're talking about, Robert, because how many times did those guys walk off the fucking field, come right back on the field after 3 and out over and over again? That look in a locker room says a million different words. But go ahead, Shane. I'm sorry.
Well, when you brought up Pagano, just one thing that surprised me so much was just the the lack of aggressiveness on
defense. Talked about it.
Yeah, he came out and talked about it in training camp. Said, "Hey, we got a guy like Khalil Mack. We're going to get him going this way and not this way." But then the season comes and you see 3rd and 14, and he's dropping Khalil Mack in coverage. I'm like, what are you doing? It's just that's what shocked me. Were you surprised? It got to the point last year. If it was 3rd and +10, you're like, yeah, they're going to give this up. They're going to go soft, and there's going to be no aggression back there, and there's going to be an in cut, and it's going to go for 14 yards right in the middle of the field. But were you surprised by that at all with Chuck Pagano about how, just the lack of aggression on defense and, hardly ever blitzing, no stunts, nothing?
A little bit. And I think that even beyond that, you went from, you listen to people that know this stuff, offensive coordinators, play callers in the league. You talk to those people. They do not like playing against Vic Fangio. Yeah. And the reason that they don't like playing against Vic Fangio is because it's hard to predict. They're lining up in that too high shell. You have no idea what they're going to do. It could be a million different things. Is it going to be a lot of split safety coverage? Yeah. But you don't know if it's going to be quarters or cover 2 or cover 6 or whatever. And I think that unpredictability makes it really hard to play against Vic Fangio. And I think that going from somebody who is as unconventional as anyone in Fangio to someone who's very conventional in Chuck Pagano, you saw guys just not put in positions to succeed. And I think that's the biggest concern. You would hope that some of that, at its simplest level, hard to play against defense, and a defense that is a little bit unpredictable, is a little bit hard to game plan for. You'd hope that some of that comes back with Sean Desai running the show.
I have a question for you, a favor. I don't know if we have a question from the chat because it's been buzzing, but every guest we have on, I know you've given us over an hour now, hour and 6 minutes of your time. And I really appreciate it. I really love the banter and the talk and the conversation here. We ask our guests to do a station ID. Can you give us a station ID? This is your guy, Robert Mays, yada, 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 athletic, however you want to do it. And I'm keeping it 100 on the best Bears show on the planet on the Tape Never Lies Network.
I can do the Tape Never Lies Network. I don't think I can say the best Bears show on the planet.
You do it.
Because I work with Adam Hogan. I work with Hogan Johns. So.
Oh, jeez.
So I can say
all right, I'll change the script. I'll rewrite real quick. Hold on. Just say
whatever you
100
want.
On the Tape Never Lies Network. That's it.
I'm Robert Mason, the Athletic. I'm Robert Mason, the Athletic Football Show. I'm keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
Yes.
There you go. Does that work?
Perfect.
Yeah. You ready?
I think you just did it.
I was going to give him his own stage. I want him to be.
You want me to do it again?
Yeah. You need the script again?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm Robert Mays from the Athletic. See, I keep trying to do it. I'm Robert Mays from the Athletic Football Show. I'm keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network. See, I don't need a script. I got
this shit down. Look at you. Probably Akeem Hicks took 11 takes. No, it was 9. But you knocked it out twice, and
I'm better considering I am a professional broadcaster. So if I'm not better at Akeem Hicks than this, then I'm pretty fucked.
Well, I appreciate your time and the conversation. We got to have you back when the season starts, because I want the Robert Mays fire on the situation of what transpires week 1. So can I put you on the calendar? And I've never done this with a guest, but I'm listening to you, and I'm a scout by nature, coach and a scout. Your instant reaction that Wednesday after Sunday Night Football against the Rams.
Yeah, that's fine. I should be around. Depending on the time, we'll be recording that day. So
anytime you say, I'll go live on the show.
Sounds good. Let's do. We can do it in the evening again.
Perfect.
Perfect. This is a little past my bedtime, but we do a little bit earlier than this. I am usually in bed by about 10 p.m. So
look at you.
I've gotten to a point now. My dog, who's sitting next to me, she's up at like 6 every morning. So
Oh my God, your dog. Props to your dog. I saw that bullshit on Twitter the other day. You calling out that asshole. That was craziness.
When you spend as much of your adult life as a person on the internet as I have, you are very rarely surprised by anything anymore.
Yeah, just
a dude telling me when my dog was gonna die. That was a new one. That was a new one.
I didn't even know about this.
I was sitting there flipping through Twitter, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" And I go back and I reread it like twice, and I'm like, "No way did this just happen."
At that point, all you could do is laugh. I mean, Mina joked about it. Mina takes so much crap, all the time. So, that's nothing compared to what she has to deal with. But even she was like, wow, that is a new one. And the thing is, the joke in our house is that that dog is never going to die. She's going to outlive all of us because our entire lives are now rotated around the dog. She's doing great over here.
That's good to hear. And I really appreciate your time. Cherie wanted to say hello to you.
Hi, Robert.
Hello.
We did have a good question from
one question from the chat. Go ahead.
Yes, Jared Perry brought up that Andy Dalton threw 3 picks the first day of camp, and I think 2 the next. Is that something that is concerning in camp?
Oh, I don't think so. I think so. I remember all those stories back a couple of years ago about Mahomes throwing all those interceptions in training camp. I think that training camp is all about just experimentation, or even mini camp is all about experimentation. Just figuring out what works, what doesn't, how you feeling. I think that throwing interceptions at this stage of the game is not a bad thing. Aaron Rodgers used to throw a ton of training camp interceptions almost on purpose because he was just screwing around and seeing what he could pull off and what he can't. So that stuff is never concerning to me.
The best time to make mistakes is in practice. That's the reality of truth. Robert Mays. You could follow Robert Mays on Twitter at Robert Mays. That's no E behind the Y. It's Mays. And you can see him on The Athletic, on the NFL show, right? It's called the
Athletic Football Show.
The Athletic Football Show. Mm-hmm. Check him out there. Give him a subscribe. Are you on Instagram? Because I kept tagging someone.
I do. I am on Instagram. I am not nearly as
Robert Mays 53. Is that you?
I am not. That's me. I am not nearly as active on Instagram as I am on Twitter. So
okay, I'm a big IG guy. I don't do Twitter anymore.
I wish I didn't.
People killing my dogs and saying things about children. Like, who the fuck does that? Like,
it's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Listen, if I didn't have to have one for my job, I wouldn't have one. So.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
No problem, guys.
Hey, we got a quarterback, my friend.
I know. Trust me. I think about it every day. All right.
Thanks, Robert.
I'll see you guys later.
Bye now. Robert Mays of The Athletic coming on the show, speaking some knowledge there. I had to push back on Charles Leno.
I knew it was coming. I had my question all teed up, and I'm like, I see. When you get locked in, your eyes squint a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna let my boy do his work here because I knew where this was going.
Look at Jackal shaking his head.
He knew it too.
Yeah,
he knew it too.
Mentioned Charles Leno and Phil went into full blown Angelo mode.
What? I can't let that shit fly. It's just not true. It's just not. That's like, some people. Chris does carpentry. All right, I'm not going to come in there and correct his carpentry, how you fucking framed up and did sheetrock or did whatever. I don't do that. So I'm going to fucking keep it 100 like the show. That's what we do here. There's no disrespect to him. I hope it didn't come off that way.
No, he's a great dude. And like I said, I think you put it perfectly, Phil, when you talked about there's so many Bears fans, that work in this forum and they're afraid to talk about it because they're like, oh no, we have to be, we have to make everybody happy. No, fuck the that. Company line. Yeah, you saw the pure happiness in Robert's face when he realized that the Bears traded up. And if you watch that entire video, and actually I've watched it more than once because that's the type of degenerate I am, because it makes me happy even watching us going back and seeing our reactions. I like to rewatch that stuff and kind of relive it. Robert just sat back, and when the pick was made, he just sat back and he put his arm up. He's like, man, this is just so cool. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. And this is where we've come from. You know, they talk about every great comeback starts from a dark place. And I really feel that's where we were. You know, we were in that dark hole.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about
we got kicked.
Yeah.
We got kicked when we were down with that condescending collaboration and all of that stuff. Listen, would anybody be sad if we had a new coach and Justin Fields? No. Justin Fields is the fucking whipped cream on the fucking Reese's Pieces sundae. That's what we have here. The quarterback, everybody has their doubts in Nagy. And I'm glad, you know, Robert stuck with his guns in regards to that. He kept it 100 on all his takes. And that was important to me in regards to where a conversation. So anytime we have a guest that comes on and we're talking football, I have a job as an analyst. Joe Schmo on the Troll Show, if they show up, they don't have their name attached to it. They don't have to face the music. So if somebody comes on here and says David Montgomery is just a guy, like Emery Hunt did, it made everybody uncomfortable, and I pushed back. Obviously, I want tact and respect, and I want to keep it like that. But at the same time, this is a passion project. This is where I fucking do all the work for people. I've gotten so many emails that I've saved lives. Like, this doesn't get to my head at some of you. Oh, you guys are, what did they say, Shane? Shane, what do they say? You guys are jerking each other's cocks or whatever the fuck that comment is.
This is what they say right here.
Wrong show for that, guys.
Man, we got some new tricks tonight. New studio, new tricks.
I got new
moderator.
Finally got rid of Claudio.
Thank goodness.
Cherie.
No, we're very economical, my family.
Very economical.
But I'm just saying, I'm sharing a truth behind the scene. This show has done more good for this fan base, this network. I'm just reading it. Do I have to fucking put it up on the screen to show you? Go to my timeline. I've said to my wife, she was actually the one, share every DM. Obviously get permission from the person, but just share it. Because
not everyone.
Not everyone. Most
not
of them.
everyone.
There's those ones.
That's very true. But the positive that I've had, that Shane has had, that Cars has had, that Lady Bears had, that Claudio's even had on people's lives, speaking what they know to be true.
Do you know how many people that I've gotten to know at the copyright claims department? Like tonight's open alone, I'm probably gonna be there all weekend talking
like
with
6
them.
in the open.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Get low. Get low.
Yeah.
One of them.
Well,
that was
that's
one,
what
yeah, one of them.
separates us. What if it was a 17-minute open for all the troll show? I'm just getting the trolls ready. Shane, so when you get a troll comment, what date are we going to do that show?
When are you coming on?
Hey, whenever.
Let's set that day. Let's look at the calendar.
I'll let the trolls pick the time. Yeah.
July, whatever.
Well, and like I said,
got to be before camp.
They'll see. Cherie, you can speak on this. Not saying that you're a troll or you talk shit, but when the lights come on and your microphone is live, and you know that everybody's out there, it's a different animal, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Like I watched Cherie live doing a show last night. I watched it today.
You may want to rephrase that, but
yeah, well, you know,
not my OnlyFans.
No, there you go. Thank you.
But she's like, well, how did I do it? I told her, I'm like, I could literally see you forcing yourself to breathe, Cherie. You were so, and I don't look at Phil and I were talking about it, and Jacqueline and I talked about it a little bit too. I'm like, I guess I've known Cherie for so long, and we shoot the shit all the time. I'm like, oh no, she's not going to be nervous at all. And then you go back and watch it, and I can remember being there too. You're like, yeah, I mean, Cherie was literally like, all right, I gotta
just breathe.
Then I gotta breathe. And then she's like looking around like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. But it is, yeah, the lights come on, and we've had so many people. We've invited people on the show that wanted to talk shit all the time. And then we get them on here and they clam up or whatever, and they end up not running their mouths because they buckle under the heat of the lights of the big boy lights. But yeah, it's a real thing. But I think that troll show could be have the potential to be great. Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally invited. It's
troll driven.
You have a stage. I don't want to hear it. So I want to give the perfect time. It could be before camp or during camp, but I want it to allow you, the guy that knows it all and does the tape work, all that shit, and you're gonna combat at me again. I don't give a fuck who.
And I'm so quiet and reserved. I probably won't say much on the show anyway.
You won't try to destroy anybody.
I've never once been nervous with a guest that I could remember on this network. I've never once. The only time I've ever been nervous with a guest was No, I wasn't nervous. I just was hoping my internet would.
You're wrong, Chubbs. You're wrong, Chubbs. We have people
we have
reached
one
out.
person, right?
Yeah.
One person so far, or two?
Two people have reached out that want to come on.
Yeah,
Is everybody's headphones working?
We saw in the open.
Is that a shot at Chubbs? Charging the headphones?
I would never take a shot at Chubbs. I apologize, Chubbs.
This guy, Schleg Daddy. I know who
there
you
go.
are because I will say this to you. I don't pretend that I don't know who you are because several people are like, bring this guy Schleg Daddy on. And I'm like, who the fuck is Schleg Daddy? And then Shane shows me who you are. So now I know who you are and your stick sucks. So you could come on here and learn, just like Edwin Lopez said in the open, of what football is. I don't talk down to fans. You can misconstrue how I talk and how I present. But I know more so than anybody, any of these fucks, put any name, not a fuck, just any person.
Chubbs, I wasn't calling you a troll, by the way. You misread
You're not
that
a troll,
one.
Chubbs. You're good.
Phrasing, as Bullock said.
Yeah.
Any person doing the work. See, I watched Thomas Graham Jr. tape. I watched Khalil Herbert's tape. I broke down Dieter Eisland's tape. We did that on Sunday, Shane.
Yeah, Thomas Graham could have easily, to me, been a late 3, early 4th rounder all day. I really believe he's a guy that's got some Mike Brown in him, a guy that's always around the ball. Not saying that he's going to be Mike Brown, but he's one of those guys who's just got a knack of always being in the right place at the right time.
The reason why I asked Robert that question where I was talking about Thomas Ives, we've all lived it. Like, Andy Dalton's story is not over right now. We don't know who Andy Dalton. I totally disagree with like this is Andy Dalton. No, I don't know who Andy Dalton is with the Chicago Bears and this coach and what they want to do. What if Andy Dalton fucking lights it up? Like, remember everyone knew who Josh McCown was? Yeah. This guy did. This guy said it. Go back to those. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fucking gray balls deleted it. But the reality is, I'm looking at Josh McCown, the player, on tape, watching him for the Hartford Colonials. Football to me is I don't know geography. I don't know fucking math and stats. People give me stats. Give me tape, and I'm going to show you who pops right out, right like that. That's my skill. Everybody's welcome to the TTNL tailgate party. And me and Shane found a glitch where we could watch a game together. And you could see how I see the game. You want to see how I see the game? Because I don't see it like anybody else does.
I think we can announce this, Phil. I haven't even told you that, but it pertains to the glitch that we've figured out on how to do that. But I think with our ability with the preseason games, I'd say we do that and they can see it, and we can share live when Justin Fields comes on the field, because I did that back in the
patron
show.
Yeah,
exactly. When the Bears
watch the game with Shane,
when the Bears did that with when they traded for Jay Cutler, April 2nd, 2009, they made that trade. I went to his first preseason game was in Buffalo, and I was there, and it was just, it was
loopholes.
Yeah, there it is. Loopholes. There you
go. Holtz or loophole?
Loophole. Let's not bring Notre Dame into this. Come on. But no, it's. I'm not going to compare it, because I think I'm more excited about Justin Fields than I mean, I was excited about Jay Cutler. Don't get me wrong, but there was always baggage there. I mean, no matter how excited you were, there was, they just traded a 25-year-old Pro Bowl quarterback. That's odd. It rarely ever happens, but it's just we'll share that with all the patrons when he comes onto the field for the first time, and do that.
We'll break it down honestly. You're not gonna get a play-by-play better.
Oh yeah, right there, Loki. I'm going on Loki's show.
There you go.
Even though he spelled my name wrong without the Y.
Yes, he did.
You gotta put the Y in there, Loki. I'm going to blame his
Spanish spelling. Spelling, Shane.
They don't have Y's in Espanol. I'm kidding. I have no idea. There
you go. There it is.
Self-corrected. He's self-corrected.
You don't think that Dalton's, trying to? He's also playing for his next contract. I mean, so he's got some stuff to prove. Let alone whether it's in Chicago or somewhere else. I mean, he's either
and there's going to be a point too where this goes. Like Phil said, if he comes out and he's viable or more than that, like what you're saying, Jackal, he's playing for his next contract. But if he comes out and is, Andy Dalton, mediocre to worse, then you're pumping the brakes a little bit as Andy Dalton. You're like, all right, my future here at quarterback is going to be as a spot starter, backup type guy. And that's a big crossroads in your career. And, overall in the grand scheme of things, he's not a real old guy, but I think there's potential here to have him surprise some people. And I'm not saying that he's definitely going to do it, but let's be honest. Robert is 100% right. Mm-hmm. Eddie Goldman doesn't matter. Khalil Mack doesn't matter. Eddie Jackson, David Montgomery. None of these guys matter right now. It's all this is Justin Fields' world. The development of him and how they proceed with that moving forward is what all of this is about. This is why do you think that there's more and more talk of Arlington Heights? This is a big part of it right here with Justin Fields. Real big part of it.
I totally agree. Chris, I sent you a picture. If you could put that in there and then bring up some of I want to react to some of Nagy's quotes.
You want to go over the promises?
Yeah.
Start there.
I want to hear. Yeah. Let's go with the promises first, and then we'll get into the Eddie Goldman stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. So Chris is going to get that. Shane's going to move there. Cherie, you're comfortable now? You feel better? Less nerves?
No.
You're still nervous.
I don't know why it's so weird. It's different when I'm just a guest as opposed to when I'm moderating.
When you're in the chat, you're comfortable and fine with Zach Sullivan. Who else? Alex H. My boy, Gene.
Alex H. got to be in bed now. He's usually
he on vacation. He can stay up.
Oh, is he?
He's staying up tonight.
He's watching that Montreal. Last I knew, Montreal was up 2-0, so he's probably real excited.
We're getting the choppiness of this. Jesus. So it's not. We're gonna have to depend on Shane to do it. I don't know why he does that with Jackal.
Yeah, I can bring it up.
So did you see it though, Shane? Coach Nagy with the promise, but didn't promise. There is no promises, but I did tell him he's the starter. I mean, to me, that's the most confusing thing. And then, yes, H.L. Priest. I'm looking at that in that moment, and all I think about is Shane. And there's Mitch Trubisky's water bottle that's changed hands, and now it's on Matt Nagy. So obviously the pressure's on Nagy. He felt uncomfortable to me with that question.
Do you know the time of when that question started?
I think the very end. It's Sylvie from ESPN 1000 at the very end asks him about this. First, we can watch the whole thing from Silverman on.
Okay.
Let me know when you got it queued up. You got it?
No, I don't have it yet. I'm getting
okay. So, yeah. Then you had the Eddie Goldman stuff. So the reality of that, I mean, to me, the Eddie Goldman thing is a little disheartening because he sat out last year. And then you have Sean Desai coming in as the defensive coordinator, and you want all of your warriors, your soldiers in at camp. And then to turn around and not have this key piece that was absent from last year, I felt Eddie sent the wrong message as far as this being a team game and a team sport. The reality of a new defensive coordinator, you just basically pissed on your program.
Yeah. Dude, there's no bigger fan of Eddie Goldman than I am, Phil. You remember me screaming on draft day, and even the involuntary stuff. He sat out with
that's
COVID.
fine.
Whatever. I get that, and I'm not bringing that in. But even the involuntary stuff, it just me knowing the way that I'm built. If I sat out the season because of COVID, I'm going to be there day one, no matter what, voluntary, involuntary. But then for him to not show up to the mandatory camp and you could tell that Matt Nagy was very irritated about it and kind of like caught off guard. And let's be honest, there has been some questions about motivation with Eddie Goldman. He doesn't lose a year of his contract. That just gets pushed forward. But if he's not going to play and he's not going to come in shape and ready to go, he's not going to get paid, and then there can be conduct detrimental. But I'm not sure people realize how important of a piece to this defense he is. I put him right up there with number 52 with his importance. I mean, you really missed him last year and how things go, and it's very noticeable. But I do have Matt Nagy in that spot, Phil. Let me grab that and bring it up here.
I want the fans to check this out. Just pay attention to the verbal tennis that carries on in this session here. Once Shane gets it up, real quick, if you're not, please go over. If you're a big fan of this show, this network, Jackal has done nothing that I've asked him to do. I asked him to put the picture up. I texted in the group chat. He didn't do it. One picture. Go put that up.
Mark.
And here's Coach Nagy.
Hey, Coach. Thank you for taking my question. Hope the family's well. I've got a follow-up question for you after this as well. Been wanting to know, did anyone in the organization ever promise Andy Dalton that he would be the starting quarterback on opening day of the regular season?
No, Mark. I'd say promises are, as we all know, promises.
He's laughing now.
Crazy.
Watch.
But what we told Andy is that he's our starter, and he knows that. And that's what Justin knows. That's what Nick knows. The rest of our coaches. And we tell these guys, knowing that there's got to be a start, right? So that's where we're at. And now they go ahead, and all three of them are going to be the best quarterback they can be. And then that gets into that plan, this plan that we keep talking about. And it takes a little bit of time. But to answer your first question, there was no promises, but we told him, and I specifically told him, you're our starter, so that's
Can
that.
You pause it for
now, when you're in Andy's role, when you're in Justin's role, when you're in Nick's role.
Like I'm in class.
I don't know why you're trying to screw it. You know what he sounds like? He sounds like he's a dude that told his wife he was taking his kids to the park and then took them to daycare and went out with his buddies for a few drinks. And then he's trying to explain to his wife when he got home that, oh shit, I thought you told me to drop him off at daycare. I didn't, I went and had beers, but I thought that's what you wanted me to do. I thought we talked about that. He's in quicksand. He's trying to pull himself. And all you need to say is, guys, listen, the best guy is going to play.
That's all I want.
It's
Shane.
that
Why?
simple. It's that simple.
Why can't he do it?
It's because this organization, Phil, from top to bottom, has always dropped the ball in these scenarios.
That's what concerns me. Right here, I'm wearing his name tonight. I love the guy because of his tape. Does Matt Nagy? I mean, you're spot on. You're 100%.
You can't worry. And Robert brought it up, and you brought it up too, Phil. You can't. Do you think I give a fuck what Andy Dalton's feelings are?
Yeah, I
feel like, dude. Guess what? My name's at the bottom of your fucking. I gave you $10 million. Go cry on your fucking check and fill up those zeros on the end of it. If your feelings are hurt, good. Then you don't need to be a part of my team. It's craziness. They dropped the ball on the easiest fucking thing.
I've been around football my whole life. The one consummate thing, the constant, like a heartbeat, is competition. It's the biggest equalizer in the game. That's why I think nobody. Thomas Ives, Dieter Eisland, we've seen this. I use Richard Sherman as the perfect example. The reality is the player decides when the fucking lights are on how they play.
Yeah.
Remember this kid, this little nickel cornerback? Now he's made the top cornerback paid, Bryce Callahan out of Rice. Remember him? These stories exist because nobody knows what's inside here.
And his name gets brought up a lot. He is a good player, but man, I mean,
he's always hurt.
Go back and look at the games missed, and he had that history here in Chicago, and it's continued in Denver. I always laugh, and it's because the Bears haven't won consistently enough. But when somebody leaves the Bears, it's Mitch is going to go to New England and win fucking Super Bowls. It's going to be fucking crazy, and the Bears are going to regret it. Or the Bears pick up somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, he's going to come on. He's never going to live up to expectations. But that's part of this shit mess that we need to get out of as fans. You have that loser mentality that nothing is ever going to change, and we're never going to be able to get Justin Fields. We're never going to get the quarterback in the draft. No, they just did it.
Remember that?
They just did it.
I heard that whole time. This network stood. All right, play some more. I'm sorry.
They know their roles, and now it's their job to be able to be the best quarterback they can be. But I'll just be very clear. That being said, does that mean that these guys aren't competing? Absolutely not. They're competing. Like, they want to be the best. And so, and they wouldn't want each other to not be any different. So, or to be any different. So, that's the answer to that.
And based on that, we played your answer from Chris Collinsworth's podcast today, where you said that Andy Dalton is the starter. So we wanted clarification whether or
you've
not
decided that now.
Justin Fields cannot win the job.
Whether it's clarification that he can't win it, yes, correct. Andy Dalton is our starter, and when we go through this process, there, like I said today, just calling a play in the huddle, and that gets to the.
So real quick, just to recap, these guys are out there and they're competing. That's what they want to do. Now, does Justin have a chance to start? No,
absolutely not.
He doesn't, because Andy's our starter. But exactly. You didn't make this is where collaboration comes in, because they're it's, pin the tail on the donkey. You're with a fucking blindfold on, you're following around a jackass trying to do it. And this is what they do. And look at the smile on his face. He knows he's caught. His hand's in the fucking cookie jar, And that's the perfect place to pause it right there. But it's so fucking, they make the simplest things just ridiculous. You know, we've all been there, Phil. You know, when you do something that you're not supposed to do and your wife or whomever, says, gets pissed off at you, and you're like thinking to yourself, oh, if I say this one more thing, I'm going to fucking fix everything. And then you make it worse rather than if you just said, you know what, I fucked up. I'm an idiot.
Take ownership.
Here's my debit card. Let's make it everything better. You know what I mean? Whatever. But it's just go out and say, hey, these guys are going to compete. The best guy is going to play. If it's Andy Dalton, if we feel like he gives us the best chance to win initially, he's going to play. If we feel like it's Justin Fields, he's going to play. And where they're going to run into the issues like what we brought up with Robert. You aren't going to trick the players. They're going to know. They know right now where this is trending. They know. They're not stupid. So if the coaching staff, I think it was Chubbs that brought it up. How are you going to sit there and go against what your majority sees on the fucking field every day? If they see this kid going out there and moving the fucking ball and going up and down the field and inspiring confidence, and you go, no, we're going to stick to this plan that we had in KC because it worked there. It's flawed logic.
It drives me insane when I heard it and I was preparing for this show. And it just is what you're saying. And that's why we keep it 100 here. It's backwards football philosophy. Now, this past Sunday, right? Sunday on our Patreon channel, we did a show. It was me and my father. We were breaking this guy, Dieter Eisland, and Sam Mustafa. And we talked about something, Shane, on that show, and put that swag right there. Performance over politics. TTNL swag right there. That was my quote. The Chicago Bears have been a dysfunctional organization because of politics. They've allowed the Lenos and companies to steal money and continue to play out there based on where they were drafted, or where they stand, or how much they get paid. This has to be end game. This coach right here, starting off your season with the excitement, you're kicking off, what you did today set you back. Because culturally, like Robert was saying, everybody's going to know the performance of who's the best in that locker room. But if you allow those politics in, and my father said it on the show, you're going to lose the whole locker room, and you're going to be a losing organization again. So what you did here today, saying this bullshit with that fucking clown-ass water bottle and smile on your face, has already got me ready to rant on Bears Hour Live come that first fucking preseason game, because you don't get it. Tell everybody, competition! Comp-a-fucking-tition! That's it! You don't fucking go any other way. Other way. Tell everybody.
I think you just made a new shirt.
Virginia McCaskey.
You need a fucking hoodie that says Comp-a-fucking-tition on it.
It's going up next week.
Comp-a-fucking-tition. Actually, put that up. Alex, put that up real quick before Braggs fucking makes one for Braggs in the stands.
It's the truth.
I came up with that word back in the 80s.
Listen, competition breeds success. I've seen it. I've told the story. I'm coaching freshman football, and I look at this kid, and I'm like, watching him, and I'm like, this kid will never fucking play. Right? He's never gonna play. And then that kid decides, what? I'm gonna study. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna go out of my way. And right then and there, he became the competition. And those other guys that couldn't handle it, like Cherie coming on the show and was nervous, if nerves come into play with you, you get chewed up. You can't let that happen. Cherie has stepped up now. She's ready. Look at her.
I got this now.
Exactly.
Ooh,
so
Claude's scared. I can tell.
Compa-fucking-tition. My boy Bullets loves it. We'll put it right on the back, right there. Bear Truth 9, Breed Success, right on the back. This show gives you life lessons, Netflix streaming shows that you need to, and HBO, whatever. We also give you valuable lessons in life like no other show does. We don't talk about our fucking cum streams, for God's sake.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
Claudio looks so dapper in there.
He does. Clean them.
He's out there in a flea market.
A new suit.
He's picking through antiques with Angelo.
Oh,
but he's not there with us.
Did you see Angelo pulling like a little wagon behind, putting stuff in it for?
Oh my God, that would be
Claude,
great.
is this an antique? Look at my sparrow, Claude.
I bought it at Walmart.
You guys are gonna have a good day. I know I will.
Yes.
Anything over 18 is too old for. Never mind. Forget it.
Did you see the video I texted you, Phil, of the Lil Nitro?
Oh yes. So we're getting into the summer months. Obviously, football is right around the corner, and there's several things obviously going on in the Bears world that are. Eddie Goldman not being there. Eddie Jackson changed his number. He seemed to be more serious in his presser. I didn't get to see the Jimmy Graham, but I wanted to also talk about Matt Nagy talking about Jimmy Graham, saying one of his favorite players he's ever coached was one of the, and then he doubled down on his value. It was like he was fighting against what you and Robert were saying.
I should have pushed back a little bit with Robert because I'm a fan of Zach Ertz. I think that I think I would take Zach Ertz all fucking day long over Jimmy Graham.
Yeah,
on the soft.
Well, after Nagy today, though, I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying. I agree, but boy, you give me a tight end core of Zach Ertz and Cole Kmet going into year 2. I'd feel pretty fucking good about that.
Oh, yeah. Zach Ertz is how old is he, Jack?
31.
He's 31. Yeah. Jimmy's 35, going to be 36. And listen, I'm with Shane. This guy gets open. Jimmy Graham, as I said, his value was in the red zone. He's not a blocker.
And when you talk about mentors, I think that's where he provided so much of his value with a guy like Cole Kmet. I mean, Cole Kmet's down in Miami hanging out with Jimmy Graham. That shit matters. Cole Kmet was he just turned 21 right before the draft. So he was a very young player, came out early from Notre Dame. You want a guy that's been through it, that's seen it all, mentoring him. And that's Phil, you've seen it up close and personal. That shit matters.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's why I was listening to Nagy, him talk what Chris is saying here, how important Jimmy has been for Cole. Now Cole is a guy that Shane has pointed out wasn't used correctly. And when there was no effort or emphasis, again, going back to the shoe man, in concerning ourselves about how you use personnel and what you're going to do with them. It's all nice and cozy and comfy when Madden 2022 comes out. Everyone's going to be picking the Bears and shit's going to look great. But when the chips are flying and the fucking helmets get strapped on and those pads come on, now we're going to see the big boys play. And I have a lot of confidence in this network. We're going to cover it truthfully. We don't pull any favorites here. And Jimmy Graham, to me, was misused. There's times in the red zone where he's standing on the sideline. It made no fucking sense. That's where he's best. And he showed that. So how they use him in his story, he was awful on those wham blocks. I mean, he was fucking a travesty. He was second to Leno in some of that bullshit. Now, I'm never going to question anybody being injured. I respect that. But my whole policy was, obviously, I want you to go. But if you can't go, you owe it to your teammates to say, I'm out because the doctor said, or I just can't give my best that day. I know for a fact 2 guys out there, this is from a former Bear, told me, and I quote, there's 2 guys on the Chicago Bears that shouldn't even play on Sundays. They were so badly banged up. Anybody want to guess? I don't think I've told Shane this story. If I did, stay out of the. Yeah, so Shane's out. So Chris or Cherie, the 2 guys in the chat, 2 guys on the roster that shouldn't have played but were out there playing hurt. Mac. John Santino says Mac and Smith.
Khalil for sure. Robert Quinn.
I was gonna say Quinn. Yeah.
Bing, 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 bing. Bullets and Jackal.
Quinn's hurt already.
Yeah, he's got a back issue. I think they were saying. Nagy said in the press conference yesterday.
So Robert Quinn, the Blog Boys sniper scope, always out on him. But when we saw him on tape, the effort and the disruptions that he was doing in the run game and the effort that he was having, the sacks weren't coming. But the reality was the tape doesn't lie. The effort is there. So the reality of what they're dealing with as fans, Brad Biggs ain't pushing back. Come on, coach. Should Khalil be out there for Dan taking his shots? Fucking dominant.
Yeah.
Dominant football player. To be out there and play that makes everybody in that locker room look like a piece of shit for walking because he's out there playing his ass off. This player said, listen, I got banged up. I look over at him and I have to fucking work my ass off. That's the kind of leadership that you want on your football team. Hopefully Coach Nagy addresses this stuff. I'm of the belief it's better. Khalil, we need you, man. Take a break. They did that. Remember in 2018, he sat out those 2 games. He came back and he finished strong. Let's see how they do this year.
He's not a guy that when I'm talking about, referring to Eddie Goldman, I'm not worried about Khalil Mack, not being there for the voluntary workouts and stuff like that. But he's a guy that loves it. He's a guy that
I want to address.
Going to be the. And they talked about one thing that I want just before you start on that, Phil. Yeah. They talked about Adam Johns talked about it today. He said when they were out on the practice field, he looked over and he was focusing on 52 to see what he was doing. And he wasn't doing a practice rep. He was way away from everybody. And he had a hold of a rookie and was teaching him some hand moves.
Nice.
And it was Snowden that he was talking to.
Nice.
And those are the types of things. I just talked about with Jim. Yeah. I was just talking about with Jimmy Graham, with Cole Kmet. Those things matter.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Because these reps for Khalil Mack mean nothing.
No,
they don't.
No.
So for him to be able to reach, that shows the kind of professional he is. So for Loki, I know he's talking about Robert Quinn here. And I'm going to say this, Loki. When someone's playing that injured and going out there on the tape and disrupting plays, he's not getting sacks for the $70 million PFF fans and the Blog Boys. But on tape, he's creating third downs. He's rushing, passing, and he's making incompletions. He's disrupting it. So, yeah, he's worth $70 million because that's what the cost is. Now, is his story going to be written in 1 year coming in with a shitty defensive coordinator? No, it's not. Let's see how Desai uses them, and then you decide. But don't throw their salary out there. You could do that when they're loafing or they don't give a fuck, like a Leno. But when somebody's giving their all, and I'm telling you, straight from the source, I'm telling you, those are the 2 names that were so beat up. If I could tell you so many, Shane knows a lot of shit that I've been told. I've shared with him. If I could tell you some of these stories, you would totally understand why I get so fired up with the likes of Charles Leno. It's even worse than his tape. That's all I'll say.
Well, I think your mic drop moment with that is Denver.
Oh, yeah.
If
that's
they're
why
really
I put that on him.
If they're really in the, the camp, you saw Jay Glazer double down today about Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Saying that
he's bouncing.
Yeah, he's like,
he's
still
coming back.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Glazer's not putting shit out there for clicks. He's putting shit out there because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers and he's telling you the fucking truth about it. But Denver is a viable spot, and Denver knows a lot more than we do on their interest in Aaron Rodgers, and if they have a chance to acquire Aaron Rodgers, and if they could go out and if they believed whatsoever in Charles Leno, he would be a Bronco right now.
He would have been a Bronco the minute he hit the waiver.
It's a great point.
I know. That's why I made it.
I know.
I can't answer this. All I can do is it's a risk. It's just a shot in the dark. Chico is over in Carolina. Chico isn't the offensive coordinator. Chico's the defensive coordinator. He's talking about, for those of you at home, Mr. Englewood wanted to know, why did Leno rob Coach Chico out of being so bag? I don't know what bag. Really want to know this.
I think he meant
how he got a bag out of being so bad.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shoe salesmen in this league, Sam Rutigliano would say. And
but
a lot of the time
they don't have a direct connection to Charles Leno like
they don't.
Vic Fangio did.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio was on a team with Charles Leno, got to see him in the locker room, got to see him on the practice field.
Should I share the Fangio story or no?
Yeah. Go ahead. I would.
Yeah.
All I could say is Vic wanted zero.
Less than
Leno to do with Leno. How about that? That's all I'll say. And that, my friends, is a mic drop. Because again, the tape doesn't lie. Fucking PFF and fucking my boy, where are you? Lauren Cox. Where are you? Come on the show. Just hang out with your boys. I'm not going to beat you up. But how can you say it's a huge loss of Leno? Of motherfucking Leno. Are you fucking... I have no words. That's like football acumen 0. Watch the tape. Watch what outside zone, inside zone. What's your responsibilities? My father comes on, and what was his quote? Bullets? Or Gene? Or Alex? You guys know. You'll never win with him.
Can't.
And he was right. You can't. And
you
that's
won't.
why he's gone.
But that's
the very first day they traded up with the intention, like I said, like this network said, left tackle.
Yep.
Give me a tackle or give me depth.
Phil, it goes back to the Bears fans have accepted mediocrity to worse.
Exactly.
And that just, he had literally a positive for Charles Leno was he hasn't missed games.
That's
great.
Well, with somebody like Greg Braggs.
Claudio hasn't missed a show, but we launched his ass. We upgraded with Sheree.
Greg Braggs did say there is the best ability is availability. What do you say to that?
No, I think
Bullshit.
That's like saying situations are situational.
Right.
Big plays are nice. They're good.
Oh my God. I'm having nightmare. I was so happy this offseason until today.
Yeah, fucking Nagy.
Today, Nagy. You nagified it.
He reminded us,
He reminded us of who he is, Shane. And Shane and I, Cars believes or had believed in Nagy. So it's going to be interesting to see. Honestly, I'm excited about this network, about what we're going to be doing. Yes, become a patron. You want X's with the O's. Last week, we broke down Dieter Eisland and Sam Mustafer, the all 22 tapes.
Are we off this weekend?
No. My father and...
You're going to do it Saturday?
Yeah. I forgot.
Saturday.
Today's Father's Day weekend. Do we get anything?
I don't know what Cherie bought us, but we let her on the show. We better be getting some presents, Cherie.
Let's talk about Father's Day for a minute. I meant to say something about this. I was on Sean and Maya. Did you get to watch my appearance there, Shane? And
I did. I uploaded it to YouTube.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't watch it. You just upload.
Oh, I know.
But did you like my analogy?
Everybody that.
It's like fucking. I said this before, so if you saw it, you'll know. But I
know where you're going.
Mother's Day is like Jason Voorhees on Friday the 13th. It's lurking around every motherfucking corner. You're like, Mother's Day. Mother's Day. It's it doesn't end, right? And it keeps coming back. You never die. Father's Day is like the fucking Rotten Tomato, the ketchup on the fucking screen playing. What is it? B-movie horror flick. You might get something nice, but it's a fucking grill to make us work. It's like more work for you. Here's a grill. We don't get brunch. We don't get lobster. Maybe some of you out there.
We bought 58 trees. Remember, I used that whole fucking mess. So Eel's like
the worst decision you ever made.
Oh my God. Eel's like, I want to get away just a little bit. I want to run to the city, take the baby, and Riley's self-sufficient at this point.
Yeah.
And she fucking comes home. She took my truck, my vehicle. She comes back and I look back. She pulls in the driveway and I go out there and I look and I'm like, there's two fucking trees she bought. I just spent over fucking $2,000 in trees for our property here. She brings back 2 more fucking trees. I'm like,
you love your trees out there.
Like, what are we doubling down on?
Right. I'm like, what are we
hear? What Shane had to deal with the trees?
My God. Yeah.
The fucking brother-in-law cut a gas line. They're out of hot water for days with a pregnant wife who's about to pop. Who's yelling at Shane at every minute, and Shane gets the blame because Shane didn't want the fucking $20,000. How the fuck is plastic fencing so expensive?
It wasn't that. No, Lowe's came out and gave me a quote. They wanted $11,400, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that.
God.
Yeah. So
it's like Leno.
Spent over $2,000 in trees with these privacy. They're beautiful trees, don't get me wrong, but 58 of them motherfuckers. That's a lot of fucking
Leland cypresses over there. What do you got over there?
Jesus. Yeah, what is it? What are those things called?
Arborvitaes. What are you rocking over there?
Real tall.
You know what we're doing on the other side of those trees, though?
Hey. Smoke weed every day.
It's a big weed show.
Yeah,
it's a big weed show. They were going to vote on it here in Connecticut.
They did.
It's final?
No, it's gone to the Senate, but yesterday it went to.
Why do you think Claude's not on here?
Yeah, exactly.
He's at the Senate floor. Hurry up.
He's demonstrating. Yeah, it's going to go for a vote for the Senate. It's going to pass.
Okay. So, Chris. Breaking news. The Tape Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
Since 1991, the Detroit Lions have more Madden covers than playoff wins. So fuck you, Detroit Lions fans. That's all I got.
There you go. I actually love that. Listen, we've talked a lot tonight. Obviously, we did cover the Eddie Goldman stuff. Do we need to hear Matt's words on that, or are we good there?
No, he was
pretty sour though.
Yeah, it was pretty self-explanatory. I think
he did say he's definitely going to be there, or he believes he's going to be there.
He's unfucking listen. He didn't get fucking paid last year by sitting out. He's not going to want to start off a second year not getting fucking paid. But yeah, it's.
I'm going to see that. That's going to be an interesting story.
You saw Tonga though. You see Tonga in his new uniform. That boy
good. Chris doesn't have those rookie picks ready.
No, he's dropping the ball.
Chris is acting like this.
Cherie, you want to be a producer next week?
There you go. I see how this is going.
We got Justin Fields there. Justin Fields of gold. I'm working on The swag, obviously, you saw it there. What did I say?
Tooch said mine should be done in 2028. My logo. Did you guys see that squirrel run by the window?
He's whittling his pencil to draw it right now. Like, he's working hard on it, though.
We're still working on the Smartest Man T-shirt. Competition.
We're coming up on a big anniversary here, Phil.
Yes.
I'm not sure if
you'll be soon, right?
What is it?
You'll be flying
on
my birthday, but that's also our anniversary of when we had our big breakup. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was my birthday.
That was the breakup day. The day we left the old network, July 25th. And then what was born, as Ethan Hellier said last week, and Tate doubled down in the intro. The best thing happened. Actually, Cherie deserves full credit. She said it at the time.
Cherie's got some fans in the chat room.
Look at this.
We might get over 20,000 this
week.
Are we going to break news again?
Oh, my God, Cherie.
Michael.
Breaking news. The Tape Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
Can we put her up there and on solo?
Let's see her blush.
Oh my gosh.
You're not blushing at all.
Can everybody still hear us?
Yes.
Cherie has agreed.
Here we go.
This is recording, or this is recorded, so we have it. So it's a firm commitment. Jackal, you were there.
Oh my gosh.
We are going to fill out an online dating profile for Miss Cherie Burnett.
Yes.
We're going to help her do it live on the TTNL airwaves.
Ooh, yeah.
Before we submit it. And this is going to be the summer of love for Cherie.
Yes, it is.
Strangest feeling.
She did say that Dan Aguirre can't sign up.
With the same.
His bangs are too short.
Place to go.
So,
oh my gosh.
Everybody vote for Cherie if there's any single guys out there.
There you go. Strap on, fellas.
She is a brave woman. This is going to be this summer.
Oh my gosh.
This summer. Now, I had an idea. One of the patrons, not on Cherie. We're definitely doing the Cherie. Shane and I are going to fill out the dating app.
There's so many stable men out there, Cherie.
Exactly.
For real.
I know. I'm talking to 3 of them.
People out there that'll take care of you.
Hey, listen, a lot of great things have come from this show. So some future children or marriage could come from that. You never know.
Future little Bears fans.
I think and Angelo is not allowed in any single way. You have my word.
Thank you.
No jokes. So we're going to do that.
I was looking for it, Jeff.
So I was brainstorming with one of our guys right here, Alex H. And on the patron side, I didn't even talk to Shane about this, but I am going away on vacation. So I was thinking, could we raffle off somebody to play my role, to take over, a fan of the show, and the money would go towards getting my dad a laptop? Could we do that?
We could. I don't know who's going to play your role. So you're essentially
whoever
they're going to come on the show and not shut the fuck up. That's
I was waiting for Shane to say something.
You get to do that, but we do a raffle. It's like $20 or something a ticket, but all that money we'll donate some obviously to a good thing. But to get my dad's 80 years old. This was Alex H's idea. And he's on a phone like smaller than mine to watch the tape. And I feel so bad for him, and he won't let me get out there and get it. So however we do it, we do a raffle. The money will go towards that. And while I'm gone, because I'm going to go on our 10-year anniversary, July 25th, like Shane said, to August on. So that person who wins the raffle will do it. This is the person that's taking Draft Dr. Phil's place. You get to stay the whole show, do whatever.
Staying at his house, right? They get to come over.
No, they don't get to stay at my house. But It's just a spur of the moment type of thing. This is what we don't have any script, but I think that would be, well, he's got to win. And that's Shane will get one of those fucking, we got to do it like this, Shane. One of those bingo balls things.
Yeah, we can do that. Have Riley pull the number.
Winning number comes out. Boom. What do you think?
This is how we're getting Cherie's date, or this is for the...
That's just how we're filling out the profile. We're just going to pull numbers like words just to kind of
that. Put that in a what do you call it? One of Chris Jackal's tabs. One of those tabs in the YouTube. The raffle idea.
Gotcha.
It's just an idea. If it's a good idea, let's go with it. $10 a ticket, something like that, just so we can help out the network. It's going back to the network, and it's going back. We'll make sure that something positive comes from it. Obviously, at the end of every show, something positive comes from this network on the shout outs, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But
breaking news. The Tape Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
Phil.
Yes.
Do you know what's coming?
That's what
summer's coming, Phil.
There you go.
Summer's coming, Phil.
Yes, it's coming fast.
Cherie, are you ready to unveil your beach bod? Jackal, you too? Are you guys ready? Because you're in luck. Our friends at Manscaped have just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. Cherie's going to test that out before she goes on the hot date that we set her up with. You heard that right? The 4.0, Cherie. It'll complement your summer bod with a trim from the leaders in male and female grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas and ladies. Join the 2 million men and women worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for hot men and women's summer by going to manscaped.com for your 20% off and free shipping with the coupon code KI100. It's time to bundle up with Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside the package, you'll find their lawnmower trimmer, weed whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer. Cherie, I don't know if that's an issue for women like it is for me.
You gotta use the nose trimmer.
Yep. I hope they're using it. You
want to keep that shit trim, Cherie. If you're going to be
as you hit your 40s, those nose hairs in my ear, I make sure.
That happens when you get older, Phil.
Yeah, one thing you will not have to worry about, Cherie, is the crop.
I'm with you, bro.
The crop preserver ball deodorant. I know we don't need that for you, Cherie, but Jackal's going to use the crop retriever toner, the performance boxer briefs, and the travel bag. Didn't you just call somebody a bag?
I called it a D-bag.
A ball bag, I thought it was.
And ball bag. I sent you a few.
But if you want to take your grooming game even further to the next level, the Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. That sounds fantastic. It's going to chop up your worst weeds up top in your nose and your ears. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof, Cherie, and it uses 9,000 RPM. I mean, you must have total retro bush, right?
Oh no, I do professional.
Landing strip.
Right.
Where are we going?
What did she say?
9,000. Oh, she thought I was talking about her.
I go professional.
Cherie just gave us the whole
9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations before heading outside and use the crop preserver ball deodorant to keep you on your game in the heat.
The heat.
Yes, get 20% off and free shipping with the code KI100 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with the code KI100 at manscaped.com. Escape the shrubs and the weeds this summer and shine with Manscaped.
Oh, you do these reads. You do a great job with the reads. I'm going to read the defense and tell you, as a Father's Day gift, obviously we talked about Father's Day not being what it should be. And that's the reality of the truth. And this is a great Father's Day gift. I am a purchaser of it, even though I got it for free. I use I use it.
We got the 3.0 and the 4.0.
I got both. Right? I got to tell you got to go with the 4.0. It's definitely, and it comes with the nose trimmer that you could put in your ears. I get a lot of wax in my ear.
That's not disgusting at all.
Does it take
I'm serious.
out the wax, Phil? Is that like a new thing?
I can remember going to the barber with my
pathway to the Q-tip.
I remember going to the barber with my dad when I was a little kid, and I would always be, I'm like, what are they doing up on his ears? You know what I mean? I'm like, Dad, you have hair in your ears. He's like, you wait till you get older.
Oh my
And I remember when I went to my barber and I'm sitting there and cut me up and everything, and then he grabs this thing and he crams it into my ear, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? He was cutting. I had like a stray ear hair, and it totally ruined me. But yeah, I'm living that life now, Sheree.
I remember the moment where my dad had this long ass hair coming out of his ear. I was like, Dad, you gotta cut that. He's like, what are you talking about? I like pulled it up.
Shit hurts.
Yeah. And then Steph did the same shit to me once. Look at this hair coming out of your ear. And that was the moment I was like, oh my God, I gotta have the fucking earscape, whatever the fuck they call it. Collaboration. Get that hair off your ears and your nose.
Collaboration and Compa-fucking-tition.
Compa-fucking-tition t-shirt is definitely coming out. Go over to the swag shop, the TTNL swag shop, TTNL swag. I see a lot of people getting their swag right there. Performance over politics is one of the things, and they got leggings, keeping it 100, Spencer Strong t-shirts, obviously. Here's me and Steph rocking the Spencer Strong. Fight for Spencer Strong.
Look at that ear hair. Jesus
Look at that
Christ.
ear hair. That was a fresh cut that day.
Sheree, do we get to deck you out in TTNL swag for your date?
Oh,
if you meet somebody on the dating app?
I mean, I got plenty of TTNL swag. I don't have any hats, but I got tank tops, t-shirts.
Whoa.
Yo, the tank tops.
Tank top on.
100 tank top.
Oh, boy.
The tank.
Give me that.
Wow.
He's got excellent get off.
I hope.
No, it's geography. Oh, Jesus.
All the drops are going out. Firing on all cylinders. Listen.
This invention here is called.
Oh my God.
That Rogers one is.
What the hell is
not
going
seeing
on?
that.
Exactly. Kenneth has become a drop here on the show. Speaking of, Sheree, one advice from the greatest
invention here is called.
Not that. Gary Williams. What did he say?
There's hope, guys.
There is, Sheree, and
there hope?
We will be going live to fill out Sheree. If you're just tuning in or you're watching,
she said she wants to go to farmersonly.com. That was the only. That was the only
fish.
No.
Fish.
We got to figure out which one we're gonna use, and we're gonna get it together.
She wants.
Now, somebody was
she wants
promised
a dude with corn cob.
This invention here is called.
There is always hope. I don't know what this corn cob. It actually is pretty smart on some level.
No, listen, you're not even getting it. Watch the video and look at the guy in the background.
Aaron Rodgers, right?
Oh, okay.
I saw it.
Oh, you didn't.
Oh, you didn't get that crit, Jagger?
Oh, I did.
Oh,
I did.
It's
Oh, yeah.
Aaron. Aaron has a new thing. He's
With the little part in the back. It's great.
Yeah,
Didn't
we'll play it one more time.
Girlfriend come out and say that he might be homosexual or
People in the
bisexual. Is that
chat
true?
asking if it was Aaron. Yes, it is. Look at him.
This invention here is called the Cobb Quickie. Hands down the easiest way to butter your corn on the cob on a hot summer day. Simply grab yourself a fresh stick of butter and using our patent-pending firm grip design, place the butter directly
Cobb
onto
Quickie.
the center spikes. Then simply go to town buttering your corn on the cob from top to bottom. No matter what your technique is, get the job done this summer when you use the Cobb Quickie.
real quick, that video.
Top.
When I was putting that together tonight before the show, I said, Hila said, what are you working on? And I'm like, I'm putting this together for the show. And I started playing it for her. And her reaction was, that's actually a really good idea to butter your corn. I'm like, that's not what we're talking about.
Right. It's pretty genius, but I like to hold the fucking Game of
I mean, you could just
Thrones
literally
fights in
use the butter itself to do it. I mean, you don't need the stupid jerk off thing. I mean, what are we doing here? It's like
a conversation starter at your picnic.
Yeah, you look like a strange person.
Can you imagine, Chris?
Up next on
Hey,
Bar
Case, can you
Room.
please pass me the
The Cobb Quickie.
There you go.
Go to town.
All right. Chris, it's that time of the show that everybody hates the most. It's that time of the show where Cherie's favorite song gets played. And I look for it. I look for it. Does anybody see it? Can hit it before I can. I
got it
can't.
right
Twist invention here is called
Zach.
There it is. I love you. Let's go to your segment.
Exactly, Adipus. Yes. Thank you.
Shout out Tape Never Lies. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. We gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. We gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay Spencer strong, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam. Like
the network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. For some this policy, the show is at its end. But for me it's so important to thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Audio Jane getting nervous cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say they get the shot of vital. But hurry up cause the postman's getting homicidal.
Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. We gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. We gotta show love too.
The network that keeps it real. Stress is strong.
Yes, Spencer Strong, right over there, the best Bears show on the planet. Even though our guy Robert Mays couldn't say it, I could say it. You go over there, support this family and everything that they have been going through in regards to what it is that they're dealing with cancer. If you're a new subscriber and a new listener, this part of the show is going out to a family and a young man dealing with cancer in the brain, and they are still going through it, and it's been a very difficult road. That's why we continue to sell the t-shirts from our swag shop. Hold on. We have some more fans who just sent me some pictures of them, but of wearing their Spencer Strong Fight Like Spencer stuff, and I want to make sure I get them up there as well. But this segment, can you get that link that I sent you, Chris?
I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
I was confused by what you were asking before, but yeah, I got you.
So what I need from Chris Jackal, ladies and gentlemen, is the beat to put behind us as we do this special segment. Again, if you're a listener, obviously most of you obviously are listening and watching the video on the channel, the YouTube channel, or your Facebook, group, or wherever you're watching it. But there is a podcast version of the show. And every week there is a podcast. We're on every goddamn site, right, Shane?
Keeping It 100 can be found on all podcast streaming apps: iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Overcast, Castbox, Deezer, and finally, officially on Google Music and Podcasts. It's Keeping It 100 with Phil and Shane.
Newest invention here is.
Oops. You can't get that tab up, Chris.
It's the YouTube thing's just cycling on my computer right now. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
I'm gonna send it to Shane.
I already did.
Okay, Shane, can you pull up?
Yeah.
There you go. Pull that up on your computer. While we do that, there's our guy Edwin Lopez. Was on the show last week. Fan Appreciation Week last week. We had a bunch of fans, and we couldn't get everybody involved. So a bunch of you sent me some videos. I asked some people to send some videos of the show, and I wanted to make sure everybody was a part of the show. If you want to be a part of the show and you love this show, you can send me or Shane a video of you saying whatever. This is the best Bears show on the planet. The Tape Never Lies Network, Keeping It 100, Spencer Strong, whatever it is. I'm going to try to get you into the open. Speaking of which, I forgot one guy. I wanted to bring him on the show. I'm going to bring him on during the shout out segment, Shane, and introduce him to the world. Oh, shit. So do we get that music? Jeez, Claudio. There we go. There we go. Where is he? There he is. Can you hear it, guys, or is it just me that hears it?
I can hear it.
I can hear it.
All right. Can you turn it up just a pinch? Because I don't know why. We're going to get this ironed out. All right. Every week, I just invited our guest on for the shout out segment. Hopefully he got this. Hopefully he did. But Cherie, your first night hosting, moderating, and being a part of the whole show. As HL Priest says, I do love this show. Do you have some shout outs you want to give?
Yes.
Newest invention here is called.
I can never not laugh at that.
No. You can never unsee it.
He's actually trying to make popcorn, Cherie. Put enough friction on there.
Blake
It'll start popping.
Bortles show.
And you shouldn't have the butter.
Okay, shout outs. Just first of all, I want to thank everybody for all the love they showed me. My birthday was Sunday, so I appreciate all of the love. And my mom's birthday is actually today. So happy birthday, Mommy.
Mom Dukes.
Yes.
Happy birthday from your boy, your favorite.
If Jackal would have wore a hoodie, you would have made her happy, Jack.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I should have warned you. Sorry.
Yeah, my bad. Could have told me last night. I mean, it would have been perfect timing. Wait. Yeah, never mind.
Oh, what were you guys doing last night?
Invention
we were communicating.
Thank you guys for bringing me on. I was a little nervous coming on, but you guys made it a lot easier as the night went on, and I got relaxed with you all. So I do appreciate y'all for bringing me in. I had fun doing this. So Claudio, watch out because I'm willing to come back on.
Yes. I was gonna ask you, are you ready to come back and do it again?
Yes.
You loved it.
Yes, I did. This is fun. It's better than being in the background. Sorry, Jackal.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Happy birthday to you, first and foremost, and your mom. Wow, that's amazing. The two of you can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate her. I know she's a big fan of mine, so I want to wish her personally happy.
Newest invention here is called.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know. May have some competition, Phil.
That invention. Cherie, any other shout outs you want to give?
TTNL crew. the whole family. Like, it's just, I mean, it really is a family. I live in DC by myself, but I connect with you all every week, and it does feel like family. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. We appreciate you, honestly. You've been so helpful, cutting some highlights of the show, now stepping in the moderator, and some excellent stuff going on behind the scenes as we prepare for some other exciting news coming up soon. So Cherie is heavily involved with the network. You will be with us when we go to Chicago and have the Sammy the Bull, Greg Braggs, Alex Acevedo is stepping up, and they're going to set up. I'm putting the compa-fucking-tition onto the table with our TTNL people. If you want to be involved, I need a DJ, someone that's going to be there to set up so we can broadcast live. And Alex Acevedo is very good at, all of the wiring and all that. So he's going to be involved. I want him as a representative of us. Shane.
Dude,
we're going to be live at the South Lot tailgate. So you get your TTNL, wear your TTNL, or shout something. We'll have a code word, something funny, the cornmonger, whatever, to get in. We'll get you in. We're going to have just a blast. I bet they move that game to 4. I hope they do. That'll just give us more time, all of us together, chilling, having a lot of fun there. And Cherie will be there with us. So
their new boo
dating app with the new boo could be in play in the thing. Exactly, Jack.
Be hugged up at the game. Exactly. No fun.
Maybe the sparks will fly.
Newest invention here is called the.
And listen, you don't have to have a ticket to the game. If you're a big fan, come out, enjoy the show with us, and have a lot of fun. We're gonna perform. Cool Kennedy, myself. Shane's gonna rap. I'm writing Shane a Dan Aguirre rap song. That's that's a tease.
I'm gonna kill it.
Poor guy. He might end up not watching the Bears ever again.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be never mind. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So make sure you're ready. That's October 15th. We're coming into town, into Chicago. We got a lot of things planned, and hopefully we all get together that Sunday and a victory. It's going to be amazing. BHL after the show in the South Lot.
It's going to be fucking awesome.
Until they kick us out. So that's how we're going to roll. And Sammy the Bull and a bunch of other people are coming. So there you go. Chris Jackal, your shout outs.
Well, first and foremost, it's simple, man. I just want to thank the TTNL family. You guys are awesome. We got a great thing here behind the scenes. Just the network itself is amazing, but the people behind it, the fans. I mean, I know you guys work so hard to do what you guys do, but every day or every time we're on air, whether it's a Saturday show, Sunday show, the love that comes out on Patreon or, just on Twitter, Facebook, you guys are awesome. That's what drives this show. And I think that Shane and Phil are they're doing the right things. They're hitting the right buttons, and bringing Sherry. It's just another good move. Who's Claudio? And we got Cherie here.
Claudio will be there as well. Yeah, Claudio will be there. The whole cast. I'm trying to get there.
It's going to be awesome. Everybody. I cannot wait.
It's going to be a blast. If you can't get a ticket to the game, don't worry. Just go to the TTNL party. I might hire some of you to guard our stuff.
Hire?
Shit.
Hire. What do you
get a t-shirt?
Go ahead, do the corn.
Newest invention here.
There There
to the corner.
Golly, what the hell is going on?
Tell him, Kenneth.
Tell him.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, tell Schleg Daddy I said hello. And we'll get him. Exactly. So, Shane, do you have any shout-outs? Can you rewind that music back? I know Claudio's usually on top of this. We didn't give Cherie these hard jobs. There you go.
There you go.
I would have a little louder.
That's because you're deaf. You said you have
I got wax in my ear.
Is that what it is?
Angela will be protecting. Grab my ears.
Shane was working hard.
You were building.
You were over there working hard.
Holy if you don't appreciate the stuff that's going on, there's no fucking script. I have no idea.
You know what? I'm quiet. You know I'm doing something, right?
What is
this invention here?
I see you looking down, looking at your phone. I'm like, what is he doing over there? I never know what he's doing.
You never know. This guy, he's so sneaky.
Yeah, no, shout out to the mama upstairs. She's been doing all the hard work. I get the benefit of getting up in the morning and going to work, so I get a little bit of a break getting out of the house and stuff like that. But she's amazing, everything that she's doing. I stayed up with the baby last night until about 45 minutes before I had to leave for work, just to give her some time to rest, because our daughter has turned the corner on sleeping all the time, and now she's sleeping all the time during the day and partying like a rock star at night.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, she does not. She does not like to sleep at all. So we're living that world. But you know what? It's been a while since we've had a baby. But you can be upset and be so tired, and then you roll over and you take a peek at her, and you're like, God damn, I love you. You know, just everything about it. So it's so worth it, and it's a lot of work. But man, I wouldn't change it for the world. And
it's a miracle.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That
and
picture you was fucking great.
Which one?
You look like Thursday morning Shane going to work.
Oh yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, but no, shout out to Hila. Like I said, she's Jackal. You know how it is. You know, as dads, we do everything we can do, but we're still not moms. They're a different breed altogether, and I don't know how they do it. I mean, I'm tired. Phil and I and everybody here, you know, we work our ass off just in our regular jobs, and you know, Hila does that too, and then has a newborn on top of it, and
yeah.
So
mothers are amazing, Phil. Maybe that's why Mother's Day is always right around the corner. You know, because they're kind of Mother's Day. You know, I'm just hoping to hit the golf course on Sunday. You know, that's about it.
Greg, my name's Angelo Joe Marino, and I'm ready for the Gummy Bear Challenge. All right, man? I want that heat. More than you. I want it all day long.
This invention here is called the Cobb.
I can't wait for Shane to snag that all day long. I want it all day long. The Gummy Bear Challenge is coming. Shane is
Jeff. I haven't pulled the tape contact paper off it yet. That's why it's just hanging there. It popped free. I had it on there tight, but yeah, I'll take care of that. He's talking about the light coming off my sign.
Oh, it'll be.
Yeah,
he's getting it together. You're getting the stuff together.
Yeah, I got the audio tiles. They'll be up tomorrow, most of them.
It didn't sound as echoey tonight, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You didn't get the
well, Hila bought me a nice little carpet to go under my desk, and I redid my microphone. It's in a different spot, and I'm a little bit closer to the wall. But yeah, we don't sleep around here in the Marsaw house. We're always, you know,
it'll be
shucking corn and changing diapers. So
you're buttering corn.
Speaking of changing diapers, let me bring on our guest. This kid.
Yeah, this little kid.
Yeah, is he going to get in trouble for being up so late?
There he
is. Are we breaking labor laws?
What's up, Caden Whitlow?
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm good.
Caden, how old are you? Like 11?
I'm 18.
18. That's fucked up, Shane.
Do you eat corn?
Twist invention here.
Probably not after that video.
Good point.
You never know who's going to show up on TTNL. So those people that left are going to miss out on this. My shout out begins with this guy right here, Caden Whitlow. I always ask people if they want to help out, if you want to be a part of this network. Caden has really stepped up. He actually helped produce the Open tonight, the longest Open ever. Caden was a part of it by pulling clips and helping. Now, Caden has been pulling highlights of the show. So tonight he's been watching, studying the tape, and Caden is a big fan. How did you find us, Caden?
Welcome to the family, Caden.
Welcome
Caden's
to the show.
face didn't even
I know.
break a smile.
He might have hit the button.
Yeah.
Like either he's the best sport or he's absolutely humorless. I haven't figured it out yet.
Caden
point,
is
Jeff.
18. Where are you going to college first? Let me
I'm
ask
going to
you.
Drake. I don't know if you know where that
Drake.
is.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
I know
like-
the rapper and I know the college.
Yeah.
Is Drake a fan of Drake? Only if they're in the championship will Drake cheer for
Play
Drake.
baseball there.
Think about that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think he had a concert there last year. So
So yeah, you're on your way to Drake. You reached
I
out to
was.
me, wanted to be a part of the show, but how did you find the show?
I started watching your tape breakdowns like, I don't know, a few years ago. And then I just kind of like slowly came over and I finally found like this channel because you guys switched over. And then, I don't know, it was just cool. I've been watching for a while now. So I've been a big fan.
Oh, big fan.
That's awesome, man.
You're focused. You capture a lot of the good highlights. I like that. We're putting together a team just off of Caden. If you want to be a part of the network, reach out to Shane or myself or Chris Jackal on Twitter and let us know.
Okay.
We always are looking for people that want to learn or be a part of it, but be
We're going
serious.
to call him the anti-Claudes.
Yeah, he is the
The
anti-Claude.
anti-Claudes.
He actually, Caden actually works.
Yeah.
Claudio, well, he came up with one idea and then he bounced, remember?
Yeah,
And he
cut it
wanted
out.
us to do that. Do you remember that story, Caden? He's like, oh, cut it out, right? Do you remember that, Caden, or no? You know that segment?
I
Yeah,
don't
it's been
know.
so fucking long, you wouldn't remember that
Yeah.
because we haven't done it. Because he's always about Claudio. So that's why Cherie's here. What did you think of Cherie's performance tonight?
It's a great performance. I'm excited for
There
the
you
farmers
go.
only.
This invention here is called the
Look at Caden.
You have our OnlyFans link, Caden?
I got to get that. You have to send
All
it
right,
to me.
I'll hit you up. I got your
Okay.
stuff. I got it.
Can anybody, where can people follow you, Caden, and give you some followers and some support?
I have a
you
Bears
want it.
Instagram. Like,
Yeah,
that I
what
kinda
is it?
post stuff. It's like the Bear Growl and like an underscore at the end.
Bears Growl.
Yeah.
Here, put it in your name setting.
Put it in your name.
Did you say the Bears growl?
No, he
No,
did
it's just-
not.
Oh, Bears growl.
Bears
I thought I was
growl
going to have to
underscore.
ground you on your first night.
What is it, Caden?
Hold on. I'll tell you.
Bears Growl underscore. Is that what it is?
Angelo Marino from Wallingford, Connecticut.
There it is. Bears Growl underscore. Now, associate producer here on the network. I wanted to get you. We were trying to get you on the show last week, but you know how long the show got.
You
So-
disappeared.
And I wanted to make sure we gave you your proper. I wanted to give you my personal shout out for helping. You've been helping me the last 2 weeks, pulling these highlights, and it really helps me out to be able to put it all together from the pieces that you've gotten. Cherie has done this, and it really helps because this is what the show is. I'm sorry. It's always a look back at what transpired last week, and then we move on to the next week. It gets you fired up. It gets you ready. It's like football. It's a look back at how do we improve? What are their highlights? let's build off that. So hopefully you all get it. I wanted to bring you on. Do you have anyone you want to shout out?
No, I don't think so.
My man, you're my new favorite. You're my new favorite guest.
All right, so that means it's gonna be back to me. I wanted to get Caden on here and show him some love. TTNL, follow him, let him know you appreciate him. He's a good dude, and I really appreciate what he does for me. Now my shout. You're welcome, man. Thank you. I wanted to shout out this guy, John Necrone. I haven't been able to put this up yet.
Oh, that's what's up.
So here it is. Can you see it?
Man.
Yeah, I haven't had time to put this up in the studio yet. So John Necrone made this.
It's awesome.
Justin
If you have
Fields.
any leftovers, send them my way. I need
Soldier
to put some.
Fields. Yeah, we need to dress up your background. So I got to put it up, but it reflects off the light. So I got to make sure I place this in a proper place, and I haven't had time. So
That's
I
awesome.
saw, John, I saw you ask me, and it's right here. It's over here by Bob Marley, waiting to get proper place. See how that C behind me is lit and it reflects? I don't want that. So I'm going to move Khalil, and I got to play around with this. So TTNL right here. Justin Fields, Soldier Fields. There you go. It's going to be awesome. It is awesome. I look at it. Then I want to shout out Bullets. Bullets wrote me a letter. I'm not going to read the whole letter because I know Shane will be mad at me on length of time. But I want, when someone writes a personal letter and says the things that he has said in it, most of which I will share it next show. I will share it. But I want to thank Bullets because not only did he do that, he did something special for me. And this isn't about, oh, please send me, do this for me. I'm not like that. So when you do something like that, I kind of get, but my wife always puts me into context. You bust your ass. You do this. Read his words.
Yeah.
Look what he said there. And Bullets, if I have your permission, Bullets, I will read this letter you wrote next week. So I didn't want to read it without your permission because it is very personal.
You can
and then he wrote,
share it with the patrons. You can
I'll
post
share it with the.
There you go.
I'll put it there. I did take a picture of it. It's a very emotional. And let me say this: I get emotional because not only did he do that, he sent 2 autographed David Montgomery jerseys for my sons.
What?
Yes,
That
2
is awesome.
autographed David Montgomery jerseys to my sons, and he just wanted to thank me. I'm not gonna. If I summarize what he said, it wouldn't do it justice.
Don't.
It was everything. Mean what you did for my children, and what it meant to me and my wife was just wow, just blown away when I opened up this box and there's handwritten letters to Tate and Devin. And when I tell you, kids sometimes they don't get it, but they got it. It's like wow, like can I wear this? I'm like no, you can't. They're extra large, which is smart. They're real, authentic, Dave. So I sent a picture to David, and David's like, wow, that's freaking awesome.
I never signed those.
So I asked him, and I asked David, I go, do you mind if I share what the fan wrote? And David personally wrote back and was like, you guys have something special. That's fucking awesome. And that's what it's all about. So I wanted to take some time out to shout out. You do something like that. I mean, that was just amazing. That's just class. So thank you so much. I know there's been words mean a lot to me too. It's not, but to do that for my children, it was just amazing. So I wanted to take some time out and thank him for that. And I got a bunch of other people that I really want to thank real quick, Shane. I wrote everybody's name down so I didn't miss one motherfucker person. Ron G from the Serbian Wizard going to help me on the computer. He's a guitarist and a musician. He's he wants to be a part of some way into the network. He's actually going to take a look at my computer. Did I have any glitches tonight, Shane?
Couple.
Yeah?
Yep.
You saw a few? I saw it in the beginning when I was rolling and I was taking pictures of it. Was it showing up on that?
Actually, Mays had more than anybody.
Yeah,
He
Mays
kept on freezing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was me.
Yeah, yours was awful in the beginning.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, yours was. So I got to give Cox Communications a shout out because they have been monitoring and coming to the house and checking on this. They're watching. So I'm taking, when you see me taking pictures, it's for the internet company and the engineers. So we're trying to get on top of this because it matters. The show matters. You fans matter. And it's unbelievable. You do a 3.5 hour show and everybody's in there to begin. So that's how powerful this show is. And I love it. And I love doing it. And I love to be a part of this family. I want to shout out my boy, Jesse Beltran. All of these guys showed up in the video. Jesse Beltran, a.k.a. Junior Seau. When you watch the Open, did you see the dude, Shane? It looks just like Junior Seau. I'm like, has anybody told you? He's like, yeah, Jesse Beltran. Follow him on Instagram. Huge fan of the fucking show. I want to celebrate you fans, seriously. So I want to, if you want to be a part of the show, all you got to do is send me a video or ask, and it's unbelievable. Just like Bullets gift. Ivan, the super producer Vargas, who's over our friends over at Sean and Maya in the Morning. He was in the Open. Angelo Joseph Marino was in the Open. Eugene Cook and his wife. Damn it. They sent me a video. Let me pull that real quick and play that. It's on my thing, Shane. What are you? Who do we kid? Who do we kid? Fuck out of here. I go
Cool
back
Kennedy's going to have to stretch out this instrumental to 32 minutes. I think I've reset it 15 times.
Yeah, Claudio's always doing it. I'm trying to get their video up. I put it on my desktop. Hold on.
Newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie.
I'm not getting blamed for this one.
Here it is. Eugene and his beautiful bride.
Number one, Bear Show.
Keeping it real, 100.
Keeping it 100.
Oh, keeping it 100.
On the Tape Never Lies Network, babies.
With Phil.
Tonight.
With Phil.
I love it.
Eugene and his wife make appearance on the show. You got to shout them out. Eugene was in the Open, but then sent me like 2 minutes before the show started that video. Mikkel Williams. You saw Mikkel Williams in there wearing that Roquan Smith jersey. You see him every week promoting the show, shouting us out. I want to make sure I get you guys, your family. We don't just say that shit. We mean it. So fucking Cool Kennedy, make the fucking music longer, please. My boy Hans. I bet nobody knew his name was Hans Osterwalder. You can't pick him out in the Open. He totally looked like he was ready for what was that movie, Shane, with Brad Pitt? The Germans.
Glorious Bastards?
The Germans. Look, yeah.
Glorious Bastards. Yeah.
When you watch the Open,
So you're talking about Hans and Franz from Saturday Night Live.
No, Hans Osterwalder, the huge TTNL fan from Germany. You see him in the Open, you'll see Hans is ready. Sammy the Bull, you're a part of the family. He's also not in the Open, but he sent me it late. So you sent it late. I'm going to get you next week. Dom Cagney. Dom Cagney is a recording artist. He's actually going to sing on a TTNL track with me and Cool Kennedy. He's in the Open. You saw him wearing the Rap-A-Lot Records hat. Edwin Lopez, my boy. Cars is number 1 or number 2 fan to Jeff Burton. Edwin is a amazing man, as you know, an Army veteran. Tony Benefer, the comedian. Tony B. He's coming on the show next week, Shane. Tony B. will be a guest on TTNL. This guy is a comedian traveling the country opening, headlining, big Bears fan, but even bigger TTNL fan. That's his quote, and refers to us all the time, shouts us out at his shows. So we're going to have him on the show next week. Michael Bardini, the DJ in the UK. You saw him in the Open. Bullets. You saw Bullets in the Open. I got to shout him out again. Jeff Crooms, my boy. Yeah, what's longer, the Open and Phil's shout-outs? Len Sawinski. Lenny Sawinski. Patty Ramos. Laura. Patty's a big fan. I love her. Shout her and her husband and her family out. Sonny, you saw Jovanovic in the Open. Miss Nichols. Did we share the Nichols picture on this show? No, we didn't. Can you pull up the Nichols family Spencer Strong pic, Shane? I know that's on Facebook. Caden Whitlow. Caden Whitlow is right there. Big man John Centino was in the Open. Jeff Burton, H.L. Priest, Chris Bowditch. My man Dakota Harper was in the intro. John McNabb, Factor One. I saw him all up through there. Cool Kennedy's texting. You need it longer? You should have told me. Shane is telling you now. I didn't know. I figured it wasn't that hard to keep pulling the record back. But Shane normally doesn't do it. Claudio does. But yeah, we'll make it longer. Alex H. and Logan. Alan Batcher. Kevin Wood. Sean Sheets. And I got to shout out, my last shout out to Greg Braggs. Thank God Cars isn't here.
Oh,
wow. But in all honesty, Greg is dealing with a dog dying, having to put down the dog. And the reality of that is the hardest thing you could possibly do is deal with losing a family member. People don't realize that's a dog is
he
a
shaves
part of the family.
He shovels his lawn for his dog because the dog doesn't like to be cold. I mean, that's
it's also
how
little
committed
too,
he
right?
is. Yeah,
that sucks, man. I've lost 2 dogs a year and a half ago. We lost like back to back. They were they were sisters. And they just one died of a broken heart after the other one. Man, it was sad. Yeah. So losing an animal, especially a dog. And he's got his little girl who's probably close to that dog too.
Yep.
It's crappy.
Yeah, I just feel for him. I spoke to him earlier and he was very emotional. And listen, I'm a dog lover and we have a dog, Shy. And if anything were to happen to her, I don't know if I could even do the show. That's the truth. You know, some people think differently. That's fine. But the reality of that is, listen, he's a family member. I love Greg, and I know some people kind of side-eye that. Like, it's just a dog. Like, my dad's probably, it's just a dog, Philip.
My dad would say the same thing.
But me, I'm emotionally invested in this animal and the personality. And think, for me, if I get emotional or the Bears lose, there's like that cuddle time with the dog. The dog.
Shy's there.
Yeah, there's no emotion lost. She's smiling, wagging, and wanting to eat and steal my fucking hot dog. That's
Caden, right?
Yeah.
You have a dog?
Yeah, I do.
Caden came in a wind tunnel.
Yeah,
What's
I know.
your dog's name?
My computer's loud. Elsa. She actually my sister named it. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cherie, do you have a dog?
No, I want to get one. I had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It died?
No, moving around, I had to leave it.
So you had to leave it. That's hard to do.
That's awful.
Oh, I was sniffling and had the full snot. I turned her back into a no-kill shelter, but it was full on snot crying.
I don't know how
That's
you
just
do
a
that.
lie. They kill them all.
No.
They do have some legit no-kill shelters.
I'm joking. Sorry.
Listen.
Jackal's going straight to hell for that one.
Yeah, that's terrible. Save the
As I look at my 1-year-old
Save the
chocolate
jokes
lab
for
over
Shane.
here who's just looking at me.
That dog, that joke did not kill Chris.
Ooh, but I see what you did there.
Shane, I know you have lost a dog. That's very hard. I lost a dog when I was a kid. So I'm dreading. You know what I'm most dreading? Steph. It's my wife. Just my God.
When we lost a dog that was only 2 unexpectedly, and it was really rough on me, but I'd like get up in the mornings and Hila would be outside where we buried him, and she'd have a blanket and put it down on the ground because she didn't want him to be cold. And it was so heart-wrenching to see that. And it's like having a child, you know what I mean? It's like with what Greg's going through. His dog's, what was it, 14?
Yeah.
Is that what she was? 13, 14? Yeah, it's
there's
never.
There's a little bit more to the story. Like you have a choice to keep the dog alive for another week, or maybe it'll be a month. Or do you're put in that situation, and
you don't want them to suffer.
Yeah, you don't want us to suffer. You but you gotta let go of that guilt. So I was being there for him, and I want to send positive energy his way and allow people to reach out to him, because I think
Edwin.
My dog died. I yelled, "Lord, take my wife, leave the dog."
I read it wrong totally. I thought he said take my life, leave the dog. I didn't know he said take my wife.
I'm saving you a seat, Edwin.
Hopefully she doesn't watch the show, Edwin.
Cool Kennedy caught the end of you, so he texts me, Phil, what the hell? If you needed this song longer, you should have told me, not on the show. I'm like, that was Shane breaking my ball.
Oh, I was just breaking balls.
He caught the end of it. So I had to put it into perspective for my boy. Wasn't me. Remember that song? It wasn't me. It was Shane.
You're gonna tell us about it, aren't you?
Yeah. No, that's it. You're always getting after me. It was another great show. 3 hours and 30 minutes. That seems.
This invention here is called
the corn dog song coming to you.
You got one of those, Caden?
Caden has to unmute.
Yeah. You could hook me up.
You got a guy.
Okay.
I got a guy.
I'll give you a demonstration.
His name is Tooch.
Yeah. We'll send Tooch and Angelo with your Cobb buddy. Or whatever it's called.
Anyway, we will be back next week. We'll have another surprise guest, but Tony B Comedy. We breaking down the Bears as they finish up mandatory practices. We'll be breaking it all down. Jackal will be better prepared with his clips. We'll be having them up. I don't know what's going on. He can't share a clip, Shane.
Dude, it's choppy every time. I literally don't
understand. We need to work on this pre-show.
What is your internet speed?
Yeah.
At your house, your upload.
I'd have to double check, but I've never had a problem.
Can you do a speed test?
I have to do a speed test.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
So choppy.
It works fine before we stream, and then once we start streaming, it gets choppy. I don't know if it's. I'm going to be hardwired into the internet starting next week anyway. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll hope and pray that this gets resolved. Cherie, leave us with your final thoughts. Buy some swag. Follow the
subscribe to Patreon.
There you go.
We got. I mean, y'all get the good stuff here, but it's even better stuff on the Patreon. So
there you go.
Subscribe.
All good. I love it. Guys, we'll see you next week on Keeping It 100, the best Chicago Bears show on the planet, bar none. That's what she said. All the best. Shane Studios getting there. Jackal will be connected to the internet. Yeah. Maybe Cherie will be back permanently. Claudio ousted.
Who? Claudio who?
And we got a new producer, Caden Whitlow. Follow him on Instagram. God bless you and good night. Thank you, Robert Mays, as well from The Athletic, for coming on and having a good time battling the Leno tragedy. God bless. Bye.
This has been a Shy City Sports presentation and a Tape Never Lies Network production. Keeping it 100. Thanks for tuning in to the Tape Never Lies Network.
Yeah, we're still here. I don't know.